Draven, and Kissing's already thrown the Thresh down.
Ooh, so I really like this as well because one of the big answers to Lucian's lane dominance is picking Draven, just because he's stronger in terms of early skirmishing and his ability to trade. You pair that up with a Thresh, and you're already guaranteed a very strong 2 versus 2 lane. So I think that for Kissing, it means that he can be that playmaker. He can roam around the map and look for opportunities to make stuff happen. The concern I have is that you're putting Jeskla on the Draven, and his laning phase has been one of his weakest points, and the fact that you're now giving him what should be on paper a winning matchup and putting more emphasis on him to play what is a very challenging champion, especially at high prey, means that XL must have a lot of confidence in him.
If there were any 80 carry to let Jeskla go toe-to-toe with and feel confident about it, maybe Hiku would be one of those guys. Somebody with equally questionable laning phases, and definitely not somebody that has been a shining light as far as the bot laners are concerned this spring. But the pressure is on. It's up to XL and Jeskla to turn this around. They know it's going to be into that Lucian Alistar and phase 2 bans. Syndra is taken off the pool. Lissandra, LeBlanc, so the mid pool, or the mid champion pool, is being hit pretty heavily right now. And still no indication in junglers. And we know Kikis, do you know Kikis might just run anything.
So what's interesting about these bans is remember that while Finn is a rookie, Special's also a rookie. And last week, these are the 2 champions that he chose to play. And people can say what they want about Sengax, but he's often been like he's been a middle of the pack mid laner for a very long time.
Yep.
And people sometimes undervalue that, but he still sits at like the 5, 6, maybe sometimes even 4 mark when it comes to like top mids in Europe. And going up against Special, the experience difference is huge. So you would imagine that Sengax has a very deep champion pool that he can look to leverage. And by narrowing that pool from Special, it makes his life that much harder to actually play around.
And I remember Special talking in an interview last week about going up against Nukeduck and being excited about it and talking about that matchup. This time around, Special is going to go with the golden oldie, Orianna in the mid lane. We've seen it popping up a few more times.
On the LCK this morning.
As well, and last week as well. So we've seen more Orianna. It's a champion that never really goes away. Into Zoe as well. I absolutely love Orianna in the early laning phase. That passive is so frustrating to deal with the added magic damage. And might we just get another Yorick Mori?
Wait, what? Where is...
Locked in again.
But where is it?
Jungle Yorick? Or Jungle Urgot?
Wait, what?
Which one?
I have never seen a Jungle Yorick or Urgot before. This is brand new for me, Quickshot. Wow, that is very, very surprising. Neither of them would have strong early pathing, so I love the Olaf lock-in for Kikis. You can already see that in his mind, he's like, I'm invading, guys, I'm invading.
Yep.
I know that I can get in the faces of both these champions very early on. Let's see what XL choose to do with this draft for themselves. Because remember, they do have until the final few seconds, last 20 seconds, to actually lock in the positions of each of these champions. What I can say for certain is that the Orianna will be played in the mid lane. The question is, where will the Urgot and the Yorick go?
Well, I think if we step back from that, we'll get to that comp in a second.
We've got 2 seconds left, Trevor.
Okay, we'll get to it right now, since you're making me wait.
There it is, Urgot
Jungle and Yorick
Urgot
top.
Jungle.
What do you make of XL's team composition? I can see pretty strong lanes in every lane. You know, like, what do you think?
Oh. This is a tough one, Quickshot.
Because Yorick's not going to get bullied by Sion, but Sion's ghouls, the ghouls of Yorick are going to help Sion's passive.
I mean, ultimately, the thing that Yorick always wants to be is a split pusher, right? Yep. You've always got to think of him like, he's not the same as Jax, but it's easy to compare the two in the sense of laning phase is pretty weak for Yorick. He primarily wants to get that Trinity Force. Once he's got it, he's really strong in the duels. Level 11 is really where he hits a spike because he has 2 points in his ultimate. And against the Sion, as you rightly said, it's a very free lane. He's not going to be challenged. Urgot Jungle, on the other hand, is not a champion that I have seen played in the jungle competitively. It's clearly something that Kadril has prepared in secret. And I'm very excited to see what he does. In fact, I'd really like us to kind of track his early jungle pathing, see where he goes, see what he tries to do and where he tries to play around.
I'm taking a look at how many jungle Urgot picks this season has seen around the world. And on my very quick search of over the last 50 games, not a single appearance, Vedius.
Okay, good.
So, we get to explore this one together, and it's interesting that Kikis is running the normal champion, while Kadril is running the weird and wonderful one. Just before we jump into the game, I would like to take a moment to celebrate Kissing, by the way. This is his 200 100th LEC game on stage. We did ask for a party hat.
I'm really upset that the party hat isn't there.
But unfortunately, we couldn't make it, so I can only apologize. There's no party hat. We will do better to get party hats in future graphics.
I'm going to give you my celebratory song instead.
Oh, no.
Yay, Kasang! You're old in the LEC now. Woohoo!
Moving on with something less awkward. K-Drill is now going to be starting. He's got Summoner Spellbook in the jungle
that's fine.
Urgot.
That's fine.
So I really like this once the game plays out and he can swap away from that smite as and when needed.
So for any aspiring junglers of the Urgot, he has decided to start with his W. He also, I'm just kind of looking at some of the runes and stuff that he's running. He's gotten 5% in CDR, nothing too crazy. He's taken a little bit more on his attack damage so that he helps kill the jungle early as well. He's obviously taken a couple points in that armor as well so that he helps survive some of that. And I think about, you know, the shield really does help in terms of his jungle clear. I don't think it's going to be a super fast jungle clear, especially compared to an Olaf. We can already see Olaf halfway through completing his Raptors now after already picking up the red buff, while only the blue has been completed. So K-Drill, what he's actually going to do is go straight from his blue to his red buff to ensure that Olaf doesn't try anything sneaky and try and steal one of these two big buffs away from him.
And I guess it would be pretty problematic if Olaf were to pick a fight early on. Taking a look up at that top lane, of course, as you mentioned, Verius, very early on, Yorick is going to have some struggles into this Scion. And I want to keep my track on just how much HP Finn is able to accrue with that Soul Furnace as well. I'm going to do very well. And down in the bottom lane, obviously Jeskla and Kasing starting to push forward. This is a lane that should be in control and that should be shoving. And I think the same can be said if you look in the mid lane as well. Orianna already pushing all the way forward onto Senkux. He's got the command attack and the Clockwork Wind-Up passive on those autos, so really able to shove Zoe back.
So yeah, I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about this mid lane matchup, and we're actually going to have the opportunity to do a little bit of drawing as well. And while we are looking at this mid lane matchup, there are some things I really want to draw attention to. So when playing mid lane, there are these three kind of points on the lane that you really want to play around, right? And the thing is, Orianna typically has push because she can harass and she slightly outranges the Zoe, which means that the wave is slowly going to be getting closer and closer to the tower. Now, when you're being this aggressive, when you're past this point in the lane, you have to be extremely careful because the risk of a gank from here, from here, from here, all very, very high. So you have to be very, very careful, and you have to make sure that you have jungle assistance. And you'll notice that when he was playing that far up, his jungler was hanging around here, so he could have come in from assistance from this side, and as well come from the blue side as well. So typically what the Orianna will look to do is keep an eye on the positioning of this ball, right? Because every time Senkux tries to approach the wave, what Special will want to do is actually just throw the ball onto the Zoe so that he gets harassed over and over and over again. And the only reason why he's not doing it right now is because he doesn't have that jungle assistance because his top laner is too busy getting kills.
Of course, we are going to jump to first blood as we are celebrating, talking about the mid lane priority. Thank you for that one, Verius. And I'm sure we'll catch a replay of exactly how that trade kill took place in just a moment or two. And of course, if you want a little bit more about lane priority and how you can utilize it in your games, go check out Level Up on YouTube/LOL Esports.
So what happened here? What we see is no jungle influences. This is the straight up 1v1. In the early levels, Yorick typically not that strong, but he has two ghouls alive, and they're just doing all this damage while Finn is stuck inside the W. Good flash there from Expect to dodge out from the Q damage. The problem is the passive from Finn means that he can come back to life, and with no flash available on Expect, he ends up losing his life. So this was a huge misplay on the side of Finn, because dying early to Yorick is definitely a big no-no.
Giving away that gold is not something you should be doing, and that kind of one-for-one trade is not something we were anticipating on the caster side, hence the slightly longer
I thought we were going to have a pretty
discussion.
slow early laning phase, to be honest, but now we see Kikis, he has caught out K-Drill.
But what I want to do is expand this discussion, because obviously Special was pushing, Special was shoving all the way into Senkux, he's gone back, picked up the boots, the double dark seal, and now is returning to lane. So what are the next steps for XL Esports with a jungle Urgot with some lane priority? You know, where does this Orianna really want to play, or is it just about maintaining control against Zoe?
So I mean, the thing is, The reason why I really don't like the Urgot pick is because Orianna's strongest during the laning phase, right? And typically, against a Zoe, you can actually build a pretty significant CS advantage because of how aggressively you can play. The problem is, you are very reliant on having jungle assistance as well, because you are so susceptible to ganks as an Orianna because you have very few mobility tools, right? But we'll get back to that in a second because we may see Kadril's first gank of the game.
Look at the minimap. Kadril's going to step forward, interrupts the recall, reset the timer. The minion wave's coming up as well. So Expect's going to bring this one up. Does Kadril go for the flash to Zane? No. Expect will just tank up the turret. He's already thrown down the Maiden of the Mist. And take a look at the cage. Not going to lock anybody in. Expect continues to take a lot of tower damage as Kadril's looking to pick up the kill and does so. But Zombie Scion can do a lot of work. 1, 2, flash away to safety. Now Finn decides to farm instead. Will not be able to pick up the kills. But look at the amount of experience and gold that is denied to Finn Scion.
So there's a lot that I want to say right now, so I'm going to try my best to condense it as much as possible. First thing is that XL's strategy coming into this game has clearly been attack Finn, right? We saw it in the draft. We saw that the Urgot was flexed to try and get this Expect the Yorick matchup so that he can better scale and win on the side lane. And now after the first kill and having no flash, they wanted to try and set up a dive. So all they wanted to do was put this rookie as far behind as humanly possible. And I don't know if this is the best strategy for XL because they're running a Draven Thresh bot lane. This is the kind of lane that you want to get ahead, you want to be playing around it. Given that they're investing towards the top side, it means that Special is at serious risk of being collapsed upon by jungle, but the bot lane can't play as aggressively as they want as well because if you just have a quick look at the vision, you can see that it is in control of Rogue towards the bot side of the map. They have control over the scuttle, they have that control ward over the entrance towards XL's side of the map as well, and it means that Urgot can't really path towards the bot side of the map. So this Draven and Thresh that wants to try and get ahead, wants to try and snowball against this lane, can't play as aggressively because they don't have that jungle support.
Now on the bright side, Kadril is able to at least pick up the kill. As you can see, he ends up getting the kill credit after this plays out. But notice how many minions are underneath this turret. I want to see whether or not Finn is able to make it back for the cannon at least. But it's a huge amount of experience and gold that's lost in addition to giving the kill over to Kadril. And thank you to the observers who show us that.
Yeah, and so ultimately the strategy is working from the side of Exxon, that they are getting Expect ahead, and he will be this unstoppable split pusher that becomes very difficult to deal with later on into the game. But in the meantime, Rogue are doing extremely well in the mid lane. They're going pretty even in farm against what is typically a tough matchup for the Zoe. And the Lucian has actually got a slight lead over that of Draven. He's already hit level 6 as well because Vander has been roaming around so much. So while it is great for XL on one side of the map, the mid and bot lane is still going perfectly fine for Rogue.
Yeah, I actually want to just quickly shine a light on just how important Kadril has been to XL. It is something we have spoken a lot about. Maybe not going to get a chance just yet, actually, as it's a defensive flash there from Special. Kadril steps in. You can see kill participation at 15. This is what I draw your attention to. 92% of all of XL's kills coming up to 15 minutes he's involved in. Kills plus assists. He's the 3rd best jungler in the league, and he's got a pretty healthy gold difference, at least in the early stages of the game. Now, unfortunately, the caster curse is real, and Kikis will get the help of Senkax to pick up a kill onto Kadril. But he is definitely the forefront for XL Esports. Now, while all of that is going on, not only have they killed the man on the front of XL, they picked up a kill onto Jesper. The lane that's supposed to be winning is now falling behind. That's 1 kill to Hikyu. That's a 2nd to Hikyu, and it's Kikis that walks out smiling.
So remember that Kadril burnt his flash up towards the top side of the map. He tried to set up a counter gank in mid to answer Kikis and Senkuk, setting up that play onto Special, but because of that, it meant that Kikis could just follow him into his jungle, find that kill, and then translate it into more kills down towards the bot side. So you can see here, Kadril, even with full vision of Kikis, he's not able to get away. He doesn't show the respect. Okay, we'll ignore the fact that Senkuk's missed his Q. And then immediately translate that straight back down to the bot side of the map. And this is the problem, right? If you invest all your resources top side, then it makes it very easy for Rogue to just say, oh, okay, we'll play towards bot side. He's playing Scion anyway. We're going to get our Lucian 2 kills.
And it was a bold call to go with the Urgot jungle. I want to see if it can work out in the later stages of the game. Right now, Summoner Spellbook is not that valuable, but it will become as the game plays out. And XL Esports with Kadril, they're down 1,000 gold. Against Rogue. Rogue, remember, they picked up their first win of spring last weekend, and they've got a lead at 10 minutes. today.
Now, Cadril tried to set up a sneaky play towards the bot side. Now he's investing resources there, but he's already been spotted out by the ward that Rogue have set up. So they're playing more defensively. Kikis is already on his way down. Finn has teleport as well. And so if XL try to force this, they're going to lose.
Oh, this is so scary. Take a look at Finn's positioning on the minimap. He's sat all the way back at his tower. If he wants to channel that teleport and come in with the ulti, he can.
Expect can't interrupt anyway as well, so...
Correct. Nothing you can do about it, but it won't take any damage at least. But definitely, true. I think more importantly is just the positioning and the signaling. For Finn, also important to note that with the repeated ganks and trades in the top lane, he is down 30 CS. Kikis is doing a very good job. He's ganking middle onto special and also farming up a storm. And this Lucian lane is doing very, very comfortably into a matchup that was going to be difficult in the draft.
So, what this ultimately means is now a lot of the pressure falls on Expect to carry later on to the game. But XL have to get to that point, and they have to mitigate the strong bot side of the map that they are now playing around. And I'd love to see XL make a play towards this Rift Herald. In fact, we even see Expect roaming towards the mid. Okay, he's not going to try and make a play there. They're in fact just trying to help Special push so that he can go back to base. But, oh, Cadril, he's in trouble again.
Oh, the Sleepy Trouble bubble through the chicken camp. Now here comes Cadril. He uses the stopwatch to go golden. Paddlestar won't find a target, and Cadril survives a few seconds longer. Special's got no mana, got no shockwave, got no follow-up. The bubble trouble will not put Special to sleep. And it just feels like Cadril is getting bullied a little bit around that Raptor camp.
A little bit? Trevor, he's been killed twice in this Raptor camp now. Poor man can't jungle, but this is the risk that you run when playing the Urgot. Olaf, so strong in the early levels because of just his raw stats and spammability of his undertow means that he can easily stick onto the Olaf, out-trade him in the early game, and find all the... It helps when the Sleepy Trouble bubble almost always lands.
Yeah, I mean, going through the terrain is just so frustrating to deal with, and Kikis just slaps him with a pork chop and is able to easily pick up yet another kill. Kikis is Olaf 2-0-1. He swung around to pick up the second dragon of the game now. So that's Earth as well as the Cloud Drake and the Mountain Drake, rather. Secured both of those. And this means that Rogue just continue to extend this lead. They continue to push further forward. And Rogue are going to be very content with how this early game has gone. But XL, they've started off the Herald, and it looks like Rogue initiated that lane swap already. You can see Hiku up in the top lane.
So this is what I wanted to see from XL. The problem is they may have been a little bit too slow to it because, as you identified, Rogue's bot lane has swapped towards the top side of the map, and they're in a position to contest. Look at the positioning of Jestler. He's going to get there slower than Hiku, but Zoe isn't in the fight yet. So XL will secure it. This is a bad fight for Rogue.
All right, Vander decides to jump in. The Flay delays the Pulverize. Shockwave catches the crab. That's not good enough, Special. Sleepy Trouble bubble once again lands onto Cadril. He's able to take the Lantern to safety, but the Herald was secured, and I think they managed to pick up the Eye as well. XL unable to find a kill, but they escape with their lives.
So that was a bit of a crazy exchange there. No idea why Vander decided to engage when Senkux and Kikis weren't in position to follow up. That could have been disaster if it weren't for the fact that Alistar does have that very potent ultimate that obviously reduces a lot of that damage. But XL as well, they didn't have their AD carry in position to really help them, and so should a fight have actually started there, it could have ended in disaster. But I think Rogue were a little too slow to start the fight, but at the same time, XL, they missed the shockwave, Cadril again got hit by another Sleepy Trouble bubble, and so like, it was a pretty messy fight on both sides.
It was, and it's Rogue that maintained control. We're getting to the 15-minute mark. Look at the item differences between these teams. Sunfire Cape, Black Cleaver, Blade of the Ruined King. So he's got an Easy Large Rod as well as a Sword Shoe, so yet to complete the tier 1 or the full build item. But it's thrift shopping for everybody on XL. Still yet to complete their first item. Expect does not have access to his Trinity Force yet, but Expect will get some help from the Rift Herald, and it feels like all the summonables in the game going to be helping knock down this tower. This should be the first of the game, actually. Depends how quickly Hiku can do work, but this will be tower. The first tower of the game secured by XL.
But I'm just, again, keeping my eyes on the jungle. Look where Kikis is. Already up on the top side, constantly playing around his duo, and just making sure that he's getting deep vision and stealing away camps. He's now at 97 CS to the 62 of Cadril, and it means that they can also look to set up a play onto Special. He's very aware of the potential dive, so he disengages. But Rogue continuing to keep pressure, and again, the emphasis falls on to expect in this side lane. He is so much stronger than Finn. They secured a tower for him. He gets the first blood tower gold. He has the Trinity Force complete, and he's at level 11. So for me, this is where Urgot really turns on as a champion, and is very, very difficult to deal with in a side lane.
Okay, we'll see if Cage can get a chance. Do you mean Yorick turns on?
Yorick, what did I say?
You said Urgot.
Oh, sorry, I meant Yorick. Definitely meant Yorick.
Confused me for a second. But yes, Trinity Force picked up. Expect is now activated, and the man that could be giving him trouble, if Kikis decides to come down to that lane and help Finn out. Kikis, of course, has played fantastically, 2-0-1 on the Olaf. Last weekend, he played the Pantheon, went 2-1-6, and was one of the instrumental members in taking down Misfits Gaming. And you can see him making his way to the mid lane with the help of Vanda. If you look at the minimap,
oh, here's the Sion ulti.
Is coming down with the unstoppable onslaught. Very good flash from Special. Sleepy Trouble Bubble will lock down Special, but summon a spell secured. So if they rinse and repeat, they can find that kill a second time. But I think it's so important that XL are defending this mid outer for now.
They want to try and keep it alive for as long as possible, because Orianna, as a champion, wants the laning phase to last as long as possible. She wants to have 2 items before she really leaves, because then she can go straight into team fighting, which is where she's at her strongest. So the sooner Rogue can take this tower down, the harder it becomes for Orianna to play the game, because you really don't want to send her off into a side lane, because it gets very easy to kill her with her low mobility and just general squishiness.
Yeah, really, really difficult situation. Of course, next game after this, Splice versus Vitality and Fnatic versus Origin later today. Before that, Rogue are looking to pick up their second win of spring and force a tie scoreline of XL at 2-9. Kikis is now locked inside the Dark Procession. He literally just gets chunked down. Yorick activated, Kikis deactivated.
I thought you were going to go somewhere cool with that.
I know, I had some old lines. I'm like, no, I can't reuse them. So, nevertheless, I mean, Kikis just literally got run down.
What about
chunked out?
Yorick activated, Kikis laminated. What about
laminated? Because that doesn't make sense at all.
It's funny though.
Kikis lamented, maybe. It's a bit sad, but doesn't quite fit. And while all that's going on, Jeskla was able to take down the top outer turret. I mean, that's just a mistake from Kikis, just running straight into Yorick.
I think this is the classic, I can deal with this, and people always forget the level 11 Yorick power spike, and I'm telling you. Oh, so he actually gets a flash from earlier. This is something we didn't talk about.
That's why he couldn't escape.
The fact that the W, really good against champions like Olaf, who have no dashes and can get out of it. So then Kikis walks in, he thinks in a 2v1 he can take this. You can't! No. It's Yorick! Yorick, he's just too strong at level 11.
Oh, just absolutely melted. Look, if there were a time to make a mistake and go, oh, so he has that much damage? This is the time to do it when you still have a gold lead, when you're still in control of the game, and when Kadril is being shot like a fish in a barrel. Kadril is really struggling to find an impact on this Urgot. He's down 30 CS to Kikis. And yes, there is going to be some scaling and some tools that Urgot can play with later in the game, but he may not be able to stay alive long enough to make use of them if this continues.
So I'll be honest, I haven't been impressed with the Urgot jungle so far. I feel like all it's done is get invaded on and offer little pressure for his laners that have been pretty reliant on jungle pressure when you're going for a Draven and an Orianna. And, like, just look at the CS differences. You can see both mid and AD for Rogue. Pretty much perfect farm. Yeah. 10 CS per minute, very healthy, good amount of gold. Draven, 2,000 gold behind the Lucian. No one wants to see that. It is definitely not a happy place for Jeskla to be in. So I feel like this jungle pick has definitely hurt XL's early game. And right now, what they're kind of relying on is, again, we said it multiple times, Expect in a side lane. He is this unstoppable monster. He is very strong in these skirmishes. 1v1s, 2v2s, he can outplay them all.
So how does Rogue stop him then? I mean, if he's going to win in like 2v2s, potentially 2v1s, with the help of the Maiden, I mean, should Rogue just be playing other lanes, putting pressure for other objectives?
I mean, what Rogue want to do is, once Lucian hits Black Cleaver, he's also really, really strong, a big item spike for him. And same for Senkux. He delayed his Luden's Echo a little bit to get a needlessly large rod. It makes me wonder if he's just going to go for a very early death cap or if he just wants that additional ability power. But regardless, point is, mid and AD, very, very strong for the side of Rogue right now. The moment Baron spawns, I don't think they go for it immediately, but start playing around it. Force Expect to come to you. Don't let him split push. Instead, force these kind of 5v5 scenarios while the Orianna is pretty weak. Yorick, and Jessica on this Draven doesn't have a completed item build yet. If you can force those situations, then you should be able to come out on top.
And I especially like the combination of Sion, Olaf being able to just turn and burn if they're in and around that objective.
Very good at diving as well. Low mobility champions like the Draven and the Orianna, Thresh can't save them both. He can't peel that kind of dive from an Olaf and a Yorick. So I think Rogue have a really good composition to actually team fight against XL, but they need to make this happen, because if they just keep stalling out, then expect the more time he gets to spend in a side lane, the more difficult it's going to be for Rogue to manage.
Yeah, I didn't quite see that redemption, whether or not that was Senkax. I think that
I'm pretty sure it was Senkax.
Exactly, just using it to be able to pick up something a little bit more useful.
Vision is what I think he was
Here we go. And of course, you know, Kadrill's Urgot wasn't spotted out. Leaves a little to be desired. As does Jessica's Draven. To be fair now, the team did not play around him either or try to activate him necessarily in the early stages of the game, but down 30 CS to a Lucian who already has Black Cleaver as well as Blade of the Ruin King completed. It's going to be a little bit more of a difficult mid-game coming into Lucian, who's going to offer a lot of versatility and tools and mobility to play around and dodge the Shockwave, for example, and try to get out of the Dark Procession that Expect's going to be looking to put down. So you can see Rogue putting pressure on 3 lanes. They shoved all the way into bottom. Expect caught at the inner turret. Hikyu's playing top lane, and Senkax just keeps slowly chipping away and slowly pushing the Vision line deeper into XL's jungle. So I'm looking at the Vision, not yet committing to Baron Vision, but you can feel like it's on the cards.
Yeah, they're setting it up.
Coming.
Right now, what Rogue did first was gain control of the river, which is the first step. And then what they did was start pushing their vision slightly deeper. And so what it means is XL is forced to use their vision to just clear out their half of the map. Fun fact, Rogue then get to go back base, pick up all these control wards, and they don't have to worry about the river anymore because they know XL haven't approached it, which means they can then start to just put their control wards inside the enemy jungle and just start pushing deeper and deeper and deeper. And that makes it harder for XL to even approach the Baron pit. And then already this setup coming out from the side of Rogue. And that's why things like junglers and supports often run 2 control wards. Good guy Hikyu picking himself up 2 control wards. Being a nice guy for the rest of his team. But right now, Rogue very, very strong.
Yeah, got to do it. Got to push that vision forward. Rogue have also got the Mountain Drake behind them, as well as some pretty good damage between the Olaf and the Lucian to try and burn through. But it's not going to be the quickest Baron ever. But I really like the ability to turn using the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, the Paddle Stars, the Cyanide Edge. There's a lot of tools for Rogue to use if they can put pressure, and you can just feel this. Get control of mid if possible, shove the way forward. Here comes Finn. Trouble Bubble really hurts Expect though.
But Vander took a lot of damage. I'm not entirely sure where he took it from. So now Rogue immediately lose all this pressure around the Baron buff. And this was actually a really great situation for Rogue to be in, because while they couldn't force the teleport out from Expect, the wave is just slow pushing in the bot lane, which means that all this farm is going to waste, because the blue minions are actually killing these minions, and Expect isn't doing anything with it. So he's losing farm, he's losing gold, he's losing experience, and
he might be losing his life. Not this time round. Expect able to escape for now, but you can see with the build, you know, the armor boots with Sterek's Gauge, Senkax with a good battle star can still chunk him out. Hikyu or Kickers would be able to pick up a kill in that scenario if they had been a little closer.
Now Rogue back on Baron setup. But again, there's a lot of vision inside the Baron pit. How many sweepers do they have? Both of them are on cooldown right now. Vanders is just about to come up, so you imagine he will use that on the river. You can already see that sweeper coming through now for him as it just goes on cooldown. And they'll just be clearing out this Baron river and just making sure, okay, XL can't see anything. And again, this is step 1. Gain mid priority, clear out the river, push out top wave, and then slowly get that deeper vision in.
So, small mistake from Vander costs a little bit of time for his team, but not much more. We're going to 25 minutes onto the books, and Special is able to pick up his second item now. Marinonomicon there secured. So, Paddle Star onto Kasing. The Flay actually catches Senkax, but there's not enough follow-up damage. So Kasing with the flash in his 200th professional game at this tier is able to escape with his life. But at what cost? Expect continues to put pressure on the bottom lane, continues to shove the wave forward with the Maiden of the Mists. And all of that vision that was pushed into XL's territory is now at risk of being challenged or cleared out if XL push forward.
Ultimately, though, XL were a little too slow for this. Expect wasn't in position to threaten the tower when the siege was coming out from Rogue. So even though Finn loses, sure, some farm and experience, XL, they're only able to secure the mid-tier 1 while Rogue secure themselves the top tier 2. They put a lot of pressure down on towards the top side of the map, and they get some big summoner spells out from XL as well. So Rogue feeling very comfortable with the state of the game right now.
Yeah, definitely a happy position in the state of the game, but if you take a step back and remind everybody the stakes, of course, playoffs is what everyone's trying to make a gambit for. We've got a potential exchange in the middle lane. If XL can turn this one around, 3 wins, 8 losses, that'll tie them up with wins with Fnatic. But look at this, Sleepy Trouble Bubble, not going to find a target yet, actually going to get the Maiden, and Rogue, they're pushing down the mid lane.
Now, ooh, good hook.
Nicely
Big shockwave.
done. Death Sentence comes out. Shockwave doesn't do enough meaningful damage. Kikis is dropped a little bit low, but Senkex keeps trying to fire off shots from the side. That's the engage, and the headbutt pulverize. Special tries to run away, not going to be able to do it. Kasing is already down. Jeskla will get killed by a Trouble Bubble. It's a double kill to Senkex. Rogue kept playing with pressure, kept turning the knife, and they eventually found a way to put XL down.
And the problem for XL is that they grouped up as a 5 to try and force the 5v5 rather than trying to leverage the Yorick split push, but also they were in a choke point. They could not get into a situation where they could stop Senkex from landing all this poke, and now K-Draw forced away from the Baron. This will be an easy objective secure for Rogue.
Oh, very nicely done. Rogue are in control of this game, are in control of the flow. 6,000 gold up, 3 dragons up, a tower up. Yes, expect Yorick is going to be a thorn in their side.
Not anymore.
Everything else they can do, everything else they have been doing has been enough to get control and just really good decision making to push down this middle lane.
So, I mean, ultimately the mistake here from XL was trying to contest for Baron vision without having mid push. This is why mid priority is so important when setting up for the play, and it forces XL, because they don't want to give up this mid tower, to just run through their own half of the jungle where Senkex is landing poke. You also have the potential engage from Vander and Finn, and it means that the moment that the team is split up, they find a very quick punish. And now this gold has snowballed 6,000 in the lead of Rogue. And I just want to remind the fans at home that when the vote came through for who would win this game, only the fans voted for Rogue. Even StatSpot went for XL. So this could be the opportunity for the fans at home to lead in the prediction vote, Quickshot.
Absolutely everybody. Congratulations to all the fans that push Rogue over the line. And for XL, just a little bit of an uncharacteristic game in some aspects, you know, like bold calls in draft with the Urgot with the Draven that did not pay dividends, did not prove to be effective enough against Rogue. Kikis on that Olaf, 2-1 and 4. Senkex on the Zoe, 3-0-3. Look, pressure multiple lanes, Senkex in mid, Kikis up top. The minions are taking down the towers in the bottom inner. And the Canyon Wave is still going to be doing a lot of work. I mean, XL, yes, they have a pushing lane, but it's at the cost of their base.
Slowly but surely, Rogue are breaking into the base of XL. At 3 items, maybe the Orianna is enough to swing in there, some team fights in their favor, but they just take so much poke from the Zoe that they can never get a successful fight.
And there was the initiation that you talked about a little bit ago, Vedius, how Sion, Finn is able to engage the unstoppable onslaught. His low mobility carries, they're forced back. It means that the tower is able to be secured at very minimal cost. Now the minion wave is finally going to die at Rogue's inhibitor, and look at that sombrero. It finds nobody on the Rogue side. They're able to escape. Inhibitor number 1 will fall. The tower in the top lane is being defended by Expect, and the minion wave that XL had shoving is now dwindling and disappearing. Rogue have got supers in the mid lane, 2,000 gold Baron buff. They're going to go spend some of the change that they've accrued, and they are in control. They are poised to take their second game of the split.
And XL, the only reason why they were able to get that bot tower is because one of the little ghouls from Expect was just gnawing its way through the tower. I'm surprised that the ghoul could actually be that far away from him without needing either the Maiden of the Mist or Yorick to be nearby, but today I learned those ghouls can just live their own life. They can just do whatever they want. So he just ran it down bot lane. He was like, I will help you, team. I am there for you. And he nobly sacrificed himself.
Not strong enough to be classified as a Winion, so we'll need to find a new category.
But he did a lot of damage, to be fair. Like, if we could see damage to towers, that minion probably did more than the majority of XL.
I just love the idea of a Yorick ghoul living his best life. While the team loses on you take a vacation down bottom lane, push to your inhibitor, enemy inhibitor turret. Take the turret, live your best life. As quoted by Vedius. But Rogue don't really care. I mean, Expect is pushing up in the top lane, and Rogue have been the better team today. Their draft, a little bit more understandable. It has been executed better on multiple stages, and with the exception of Finn being bullied out of lane early on, I mean, he's down 80 CS right now. It doesn't matter.
Ultimately, I just think the priorities were wrong from the side of XL. They already had a winning match up top if they had just kept Urgot. All they needed was a strong early game jungler like Olaf to just help play around their mid and bot side of the map. And if they had done that, I think their laning phase would have been way stronger. Orianna could have afforded to play super aggressively. I mean, we did that cool breakdown early on where Orianna likes to play that far forward in the lane, but only can do it when she has jungle assistance. And the fact is, she never got jungle assistance. The Draven Thresh lane never got jungle assistance, while Kikis was just like snowball, 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 and he entirely played around the bot side of the map. And right now, that is where Rogue have control.
I mean, he just punished Cajal in his Raptor camps, multiple times with the help of Senkux. That gold graph that was just on your screen before 30 minutes showed the scale. XL managed a 900 gold advantage early on, and Rogue's current gold lead is around 6,000 gold, so significantly more one-sided. This is an interesting result if Rogue close this out, because if Rogue pick up a win, and it is very likely that they will, the teams that are currently in the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th, for example, are actually a little bit more comfortable.
Yep.
With XL and Rogue being at 2 wins, 9 losses, assuming Rogue win, that actually means that teams that have 4 or 5 or 6 wins feel a little bit more comfortable. There's a little more distance between the 9th and the 10th place teams who could have been chasing them if they were to secure any losses. So this is hugely, hugely impactful for the playoff race when you project forward and you look at potentially 7 or 8 teams who are competing for a playoff berth. And also, let's not discount the fact Rogue could go 8-0 from hero out, right?
I mean, I think H2K did something similar.
The likelihood's very low, but it is possible.
They were 2-7
Yep.
in spring of last year, and then they actually made it all the way to playoffs.
They did. I think they finished 8-10 by the end of the split due to head-to-heads and tiebreakers.
Yep.
They were able to advance to playoffs. So, look, the possibility is there. The fans at home believed in Rogue, predicted Rogue to win, and Rogue are 1 Baron away from taking down XL.
So now, with that huge chunk of damage landed from Senkux, Rogue can just immediately go to the Baron and say, well, you don't have a mid laner, so we can just start this. And we're really not that scared. So here we are. That Baron is being melted through. Senkux is zoning away XL right now.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble is magnetically attracted to Cajal. He once again gets caught out. Now Baron is helping up. Baron actually chunks down Kikis. His GA gets popped, and Rogue is now running for his life. It's actually Expect that's in the front in the thick of things. Look at Senkux. He's going to get caught up by the Shockwave. It's a trade 1-for-1 thus far. That was a shutdown kill in reply for Expect's life, who's probably the scariest member on XL. Hiku now chases all the way forward. Hiku, you're on the wrong side of the rift, buddy. He's going to get caught, devoured, feared beyond death. And now Finn forced to flash and run for his life. We just said that Rogue were in control, and XL say not today.
The carries of Rogue are actually trolling. Senkux just flashed. Senkux flashed into the enemy team to kill himself, and then Hiku does the same thing. The 2 massive carries literally just killed themselves, and they could give away a Baron to XL.
This is unbelievable. Will Kikis be able to get into the pit and try to challenge this one? Jessica now steps all the way forward. He's got that Bloodthirster and IE to do some damage. Finn steps in as well. Unstoppable Onslaught. Engaged from Vanda. This is a multi-man fight, and the Baron was helping out Rogue. They've taken down Jessica. Decimating Smash comes up. This fight's gone so long. Another Shockwave's come up. A long-range death sentence from Kasich into the flame. Now Cajal's trying to get one out. Clockwork wind-up. Auto manages to pick up a kill into Kikis. That's a second as he picks up a kill into Finn. Now Zombie Scion looks for Cajal. Disdain buys some time, and the Baron gets turned on once again. Here comes Senkux. Get Paddle Stop! Oh my! Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and Expect picks up the Baron. XL Esports are trying to escape with it as Vanda's looking for Expect. Here comes another engage. Senkux turns this one around as the Sleepy Trouble Bubble's knocked away from. EQ's respawn and pushes onto the Maiden. XL get Baron, and this game feels reset.
Oh my god. So I thought Senkux actually stole that Baron then. It went down to 23 HP. So alright, so let's keep your eyes on Senkux and Hiku in this fight, right? Forget about the fact that the Yorick died. This really isn't that important right now. Just watch the the Zoe. First of all, flashes in, misses the Q. Now the flash was actually from the W here, but then she doesn't have any summoner spells left, which means that it's really easy for Special and Jessica to get the kill. The big downside is Kasing gets the 1,000 gold, which isn't ideal for them. Now, here, Hiku sees Special isolated, so he then flashes in and then says, you know what? Oh, we can just get a free kill here. And then Kadro gets this huge AoE fear of, turning this into a 4 versus 3.
Well, I believe the term is, I'm helping.
Oh, man, that was awful. Anyway, going back to the Baron, right? So now the Baron actually starts off, and this just gets chaotic because there are 3 tanks on the side of Rogue that can just tank this up, and Jessica's stuck in the pit, which means that there's nothing that he can do because he's now stuck in the middle. There are 3 tanks. Not the best positioning in the world. And then a Shockwave comes through, right? And you're thinking, okay, this is pretty close. This is a tense fight. The TP comes through, and XL can finally swing it back in their favor, but there's another thing going on, Trevor. I can't keep track of everything.
Trying to make sense of this game, and XL, they're right back in it. I had written them off dead to rights. They had lost this game. But now, with this passage of play, punishing Senkax and Hiku and the rest of Rogue, XL, despite being down 5,000 gold, despite picking up Baron, their Baron power play is negative gold right now. Keep an eye on that tracker in the top right. This is problematic for XL, but I think crucially, Vedius, they've bought themselves some time. They've bought themselves a few more crucial minutes. Kadril now has 2 items. He's got Stoneplay, he's got Black Cleaver. He has the ability to be more useful as this game is cresting 36 minutes.
All right, so as well, the Draven has 3 items, which is really good for him. Death Cap has been completed for the Orianna, and just look at the amount of magic resistance on the side of Rogue. Fun fact, there isn't any, which means that if he lands a really good Shockwave, and he's had some pretty good ones this game so far, it's just, unfortunately, hasn't had the damage to convert it yet, so now he should. Level 18 Ori, very, very strong point in the game. So I just, like, quick shot, I just want to throw your mind back to Origin versus Rocket all those years ago. I'm having a lot of feelings right now.
The Tele-Clown Wars, I believe that is what that series was called.
I don't know who's going to win this game, and that's what makes it exciting right now.
Now, the reason that callback is very important for those of you who may not know it, about 6 Barons went down in that game. It took a long time for the number 9 and the number 10 teams to kill each other.
Here we go.
Let's see whether or not Rogue can interrupt it. Finn gets locked inside the pit. The Shockwave simply does nothing. Inhibitor will be taken out by Rogue, and Baron expires in 15 seconds. Remember, Elder Dragon was secured by Rogue. They've got themselves another 40 seconds of the buff. Kasing is forced to flash away to safety. Jessica's able to dodge and duck and weave away from the culling. Finn is taking a whole lot of damage. He's down to 2,000 HP, forced away. Rogue are not done yet. They're going to take the second inhibitor.
So ultimately, the problem here is that XL are trying to fight a 4-Dragon Infernal, the Elder-empowered team right now, and they just don't have the power. There's so much damage on the side of Rogue. If Expector's still alive, maybe he could try and make some kind of split push play, but he's dead. He doesn't have the TP, and Rogue still have 10 seconds left on this Elder. It's all about what can they get off the back of this.
15 seconds before Expector's able to respawn. Teleport is unavailable to him, and you can see the inhibitor timers on the left-hand side of your screen. Fans at home, are you starting to sweat, or are you confident that Rogue will still win this game? Because, of course, you're the only guys that voted for them. The rest of us all felt that XL would come back. And one shining light is all of that work that Expect has done. Since Expect Yorick has become activated, he has controlled that bottom lane so much so that these minions, with the help of some ghouls, have actually taken down the inhibitor turrets.
But also part of the problem for XL is that Expect keeps getting drawn into a lot of these fights, but they don't have pressure, because if they ever split him apart, then Rogue just engage with Olaf, Sion, and the Alistar, which means that he's almost forced to group every single time, and you see that he's the first one to die because the rest of his team can't follow up on him. So XL's in this really weird gray area right now where they're just going to have to rely on Rogue to make another massive misplay like they did in the first Baron in order to turn this game around.
Oh, take a look at the damage dealt over the course of this game. If a play around Baron happens, like you just mentioned, Vedius, this will help Special out. He's got that Void Staff, Death Cap, Ludens, Murlonomicon, dealt a lot of team damage for his squad, and surprising that Expect is doing so well on a champion that's traditionally spent a lot of time alone in a side lane.
So What I also find quite interesting is the fact that because Rogue are mostly nearing their full build, they actually have no control wards, so they're pretty dark across the map, but they don't care. They're going for a fight.
Take a look at Finn's HP. 5,300 as he's pushing forward. Inhibitor tower is down. The death sentence catches onto Hiku, but he manages to escape with his life for now. They manage to kill the Inhibitor, but nobody's dead just yet. Jesko forced to run for his life. GA gets popped from Hiku, and Cagel is looking to get one into Senkax. Sleepy Trouble Bubble will not be enough to kill just yet. Senkax manages to find it, uses the paddle star. In the back end, though, Finn and Hiku and Kikis are running for their lives. Expect is in a 1-on-3. He locks Finn inside the Dark Procession. That gets one. Turns his attention to Vanda. That's a double. Expect is carrying Excel's lives. Turning his attention to Hiku. He's not done yet. GA gets popped. When he comes back up, there's two members to deal with. He's got a Lantern to escape too. He rides a Lantern to safety. Excel still need to deal with 101 supers inside their base.
Unfortunately for XL, while they may have come out just barely on top in this fight, they've lost their whole base. Only one Nexus tower stands in Rogue's way right now of securing this game. Elder spawns in 1 minute, the Baron spawns in 1 minute, and if Rogue can secure either of those objectives, you imagine that it's the curtain call for XL.
I love Clown Fiestas. They are so fun to watch, and these team fights are some of the most unique I have ever seen.
So the rest of Rogue, they're just focusing down the tower because they know that's what's the most important. But Finn at this point in the game, he dies much. Oh, how? We're on the Baron. We're on the Baron. Quick shot. Let's go. Two-man from the side of XL. Kikis
Look at
there.
the minimap. Look at the minimap. There are super minions pouring into XL's base. No teleports are up for Rogue, and these supers are being held temporarily. Special tries to back away.
Down mid.
Oh my word. Okay, so Finn's running down the mid lane. He used his TP to apply pressure. XL unable to get the Baron.
Yep.
So this is the third Baron of the game that'll be secured. It'll be the second for Rogue.
Whew. All right, so at this point you think, okay, Baron secured, 3 inhibs down, they can go get Elder as well. Surely Rogue will win the game. Surely. Nothing could possibly happen.
I hope you guys at home can hear the crowd in Berlin laughing at that statement. Because with Baron, with the second Elder, the stacking Elder mechanic.
And it also lasts like 5 minutes. I think it lasts 5 minutes. It gives like all these double insane bonuses. It gives 50% bonuses on all the traits that you have. It's like...
Now, crucially, I'm the optimist, right? I look for the silver lining. Vetis, yeah, on camera I am. Off camera I'm not. 40 seconds before the top inhibitor spawns for XL, 17 before the mid inhibitor. That's on the left-hand side, which means once those double super minions are dealt with, XL will have the smallest amounts of breathing room. But they cannot afford a mistake. 4.5 minutes on Elder Dragon, 2.5 minutes on Baron, and an inhibitor in the mid lane that is now available for killing. Rogue are pushing in for what could be, possibly, maybe, the final push.
What should be the final push. It would be a miracle for a team to turn this one around.
Somebody cue the final countdown music, because this could be the fight. Where is Finn? Finn has thrown himself into battle time and time again with mixed results, but with Special getting chunked down and zoned away. Here comes Kikis. He's Ragnarocking in for the fight. The inhibitor in the middle is secured. The inhibitor at the top is about to fall. Cagel's run for his life. Jungle Urgot's done nothing for this game. And here comes Finn. The unstoppable onslaught gets flayed into the box. Shotgun comes out. The Nexus into focus. Rogue activated. XL obliterated.
The look on Kikis' face. Relief as Rogue finally find the win. Oh man, that was closer than it should have been.
Congratulations to all of the fans at home that voted in support of Rogue Esports, bumping XL down, picking up their second win of the spring split. It was a bumpy ride, but it was an exciting one.
Whew. Some crazy League of Legends fan was like from G2 dismantling Shogun in 24 minutes to this. We've had some polar opposite games today.
No, the worst part for me, and this is a bit of a selfish one for anybody who was listening, I failed to find a rhyming word with expect activated, Yorick activated, and I have so many now, obliterated, decimated, and I'm disappointed in myself, but I think crucially, bold draft from XL that was not executed.
Oh yeah.
And then some pretty monumental misplays, which did not hurt Rogue in the end.
No.
But it could absolutely have cost the game. And you can see Expect sitting there. I mean, he really, really tried to 1v9. But it was just too heavy today.
Yep. Whew. So, yeah, I strongly believe that basically Cadril on this, Urgot, if he was going to play anyway, it should have been towards the bot side of the map. The fact that Expect got a kill up top, I think, got into their minds. We're like, we can just snowball this lane, we can get an early tower, and then we can just kind of run away with it. You know, kind of like the Jax TSM game, when if you get him 3 kills and he's unstoppable, and you can put him anywhere and he's 2v1ing. Fortunately, Yorick doesn't quite do the same thing as a Jax. He doesn't scale as hard, which meant that the Draven fell behind. Kikis played really well around the bot side of the map.
fell behind.
Yeah, and so I just think that the draft made it difficult for XL. They didn't play towards the win conditions, which was very much towards the bot side, and allowed that Orianna to get ahead in the mid. And then, again, I just think the big deal here was Kikis, and I think that he played very well around his carries. And even though his carries made it very difficult for them to end the game in the end, ultimately, when you have 2 Elders and a Baron, surely that's enough to end the game.
What was the terminology? Trolling, maybe, I think?
Maybe I was a little strong there.
Oh, I loved it, though. Listen, Kikis is one of the suggestions for Key Player of the Game, along with Senkux and with Vanda. You guys can go vote by jumping at LOL Esports. Remember, you can also earn experience, icons, blue essence, and more by watching the LEC on watch.lolesports.com. In addition to this, you also get updated stats, includes skill level order. It's a slightly different viewing experience. It's actually what I personally watch at home. And the interesting thing about this result is how the playoff race has now heated up. Number 9 and number 10, 2 wins, 9 losses. There's distance between them and 7 and 8.
What you're actually saying is Rogue is catching up to Fnatic.
Rogue is indeed catching up Fnatic. For more on Rogue's win today, let's hear from Dracos Kikis.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Kikis, that was a wild game. So I'm curious right off the bat, how did you feel about the team's performance today?
It wasn't a good game of League of Legends, and I think every one of us realizes that we didn't take clean, and it took us way too long to finish the game from how ahead we are. I mean, we had to take 2 L's, right? And then we still kind of struggled to finish. I think this game should have been like 25, 30 minutes max instead of 40. So that's why you don't really see us being happy after the win.
At the end of the day, it was still a win. Now I'm curious, Cadril locked in Urgot jungle. Was this something that you guys were ready for? Were you surprised when you saw it? How do you think it worked out as well in the game?
We played once against it. I'm pretty surprised that he decided to, because it's a pocket pick, right? But I'm still surprised that he decided to play it into Olaf, because I don't see how he can do anything. I was dominating him in the early game, and I don't think he could really get under control over me.
Now we do have some wonderful highlights from your time in this game. Obviously an immensely chaotic game. Were you still calm? You still had a pretty substantial lead, even on the back of what was a very disastrous play. Do you still feel like you guys were in control and were very calm there? Or did panic start to set in after that Baron went through for the side of XL?
I think it's getting better, because I feel like in the other games, we're after you're 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, you kind of get anxious to win. And then when you're actually ahead, you're like, holy shit, is this going to be our first win? And then you kind of start to panic, and you're like, you don't know what's going on, you know? But it's getting better. We still get kind of excited when we're ahead, but we are trying to keep it down. I'm like, okay, guys, just chill. It's fine. We take our time. I mean, we had a lot of time. We had 40 minutes to think about what we want to do. So
definitely had some time there. Well, it is progress. Congrats again on getting your 2nd win on the board, Kikis. Good luck to you in the future games. Hopefully a little less chaotic than this one, it's safe to say.
Yeah, thank you very much, and we're hoping to get some more wins under the belt.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the days to come, but for now, that's it from us. When we come back, our 3rd game of the day, Vitality versus Splice, right after this.
Look, bubble. Nice.
Hey, I got him.
I got him as well.
Hey, can you guys move bot for bot side? Hey, can we die bot lane?
I'm walking.
Thresh is no flash.
Look.
Go.
Ori. Ori is dead, I think.
Look Draven.
Okay.
I'm just being cool.
We can go Nash.
Good Nash.
We go Nash.
Probably the scariest member on XL. Hiku now chases all the way forward. Hiku, you're on the wrong side of the rift, buddy. He's going to get caught, devoured, feared beyond death.
Lucian.
That in 1 second.
Go. Lucian
dead.
And here comes Finn, the unstoppable onslaught. Gets flayed into the box, shotgun comes out, the Nexus into focus. Rogue activated, XL obliterated.
everyone to the LEC studio in Berlin. It's me, Frost and Verius, who just got off the best cast of his life of Rogue versus XL. And the key player of the game is Kikis with 40% of the votes. A couple of thoughts. It could have gone to Scuttle Crab. It's good to go to Urgot Jungle. And great that it went to Kikis.
I definitely think that the bright side of the game for me was Kikis had a good understanding that if Urgot is gonna spend time top lane, then I am going to gank bot lane.
Yeah.
And I think they did a great job of shutting down the Draven. So props to Kikis. Yeah. I think he had a good game.
If Twitter was ever going to be the superior analyst on any game, it was definitely going to be that one.
And at that, you can say it's a dark moment in the history of EU or a great moment. Twitter at this point in time is in the lead, is the superior analyst right now because of that Rogue win.
They can have that one.
They can have that.
Say about that what you will. We are going to look ahead towards Team Vitality versus Splyce. And this is a very important game for both sides. Since Schalke dropped a game earlier, Vitality could take sole possession of second place, and it is equally important for Splyce in that race for playoffs. However, I want to start talking about Team Vitality, and I want to look at it through the lens of how much are they improving, or do they look different compared to the Vitality we saw in 2018? How would you describe them so far?
I think they're very inconsistent. I'm glad you mentioned 2018 because this is a far cry from the 2018 Vitality that we saw. Last year, they were all about early jungle domination off the back of very strong, consistent performing laners. And right now, we have inconsistencies in Mowgli. Is he going to show up or not? We don't know. Attila and Jack Troll are sometimes dying in lane. Sometimes they're snowballing their lane. It just seems that you don't know what Vitality is going to show up on the day.
And the thing is they're taking so many wins where they really shouldn't, and it comes down to that clutch performance. Because while they've been inconsistent, you still do sometimes get these pop-off performances from the likes of Kabashard and Jizuke. But it's just as Verius is saying. The Rogue game comes to mind. The Schalke game comes to mind, and like stark contrast. It's just like these crazy moments where you're like, oh, that's the most Vitality win ever.
Let me be devil's advocate for a minute, though, because when I think back to last year's Vitality, people would hate playing against them because they would win like this. You would have Jizuke 1v3ing with Rides in the bottom lane. You would have Attila TPing into the Nexus or to backdoor the game. So I feel like these are things that were already there. Do you guys think it's gotten worse?
My problem is that they rely on these techniques to win games. And I don't think that you can, especially when trying to face teams like G2 and Schalke. Because even though they had a convincing dominant win against Schalke last week, if you aren't able to replicate that performance, coming into playoffs, you're just a wild card. And it's not the level that they want if they want to try and secure a title.
Yeah, it's time for Vitality to kind of mature and become that Class A team that we know that they can be. Because again, you still have such strong carries like Kabashard and Jizuke. And Kabashard in particular has been straight smurfing so far. But I feel like a lot of that has been because of his champion pool, because he's almost entirely reliant on Urgot. Now, he does play a lot of Jace as well, but when looking at his numbers, they are disgustingly good. But I'm curious why teams keep giving him those champions that he starts popping off on.
This is a strangely arousing image. Maybe it's because of the sellout.
That was a strange word choice.
It is a strange word choice. We're going to move right along. It is the fact that you say they can still rely on Jizuke and Kabashard, but we want to see the next evolution of Vitality, and we want to bit more consistency across the board. So let's take a look at their opponents there. This one, whilst we get a nice little tracking shot of that one. They're up against Splyce. Now in the race for playoffs, this is super important for direct seeding and also for Splyce to be a part of that top 2 discussion. They need to pick up a win here. And while Vitality is wildly inconsistent, at least Splyce is consistent in the sense that they want to get to late game and then they want to beat you.
And the thing about Splyce is you get the same thing every single game. You said it. They often get to the late game, and that's often how they win their games. But in the early game, it is just Xerxes. Every game, ganking, 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 ganking. He always sets up early kills for the rest of his team. And you know, you talk about so often, Frost, importance for the team, and I feel like Xerxes is one of those players.
Yeah, it's the idea that while he's not the best jungler in the LEC, like Selfmade, he's probably the most important jungler for his team. And I think it really is a toss-up between Xerxes and Selfmade, particularly for how high Splyce sitting in the standings. He's the OG Karthus player. You'll constantly see Karthus bans leverage against him. He has such a deep and versatile champion pool. He can play the scaling, he can play the lane phase, and if anything is kind of the X factor that takes Splyce to the next level, it's this guy's performance.
And I really wanted to highlight the difference in his wins and losses, and you'll notice there isn't one.
Yeah.
He has high kills plus assists, he has high kill participation, he has high team jungle proximity. Like, this guy plays very well every single game. It just, when you get to the mid game, they consistently make those mistakes. And it's so strange to think that they sit so high in the standings when they so consistently play in the same way.
Yeah, at TLDR we have strong, consistent carries on both lineup, but not necessarily consistently racking up wins for both teams. And this is a game that is incredibly important for the standings. There's only one win separating these teams, so let's see who comes out on top of Splice versus Vitality.
Thank you, Shots. Good evening, guys. I'm Daniel Dracos, joined by Christy Ender Frierson, the Sundance kid to my Butch Cassidy. Hello, friend. It's been a while. We're back together for what is going to be an incredibly exciting match of Splice versus Vitality. Do we see monstrous destroying Schalke Vitality today, or do we see very lost versus SK Vitality today?
Look, I think the analysts set it up perfectly here because we're coming in, it's a battle of consistency versus volatility. And as you said, Vitality is the volatile team here on the day. So the question is, will their high be enough to overcome Vitality or overcome Splice? Or will Splice be able to shut them down and make them look foolish?
Look, there's a lot of yellow in the logos
There's
on
so
stage.
much yellow.
I'm not gonna knock you for it, but luckily they've been sorted blue and red. Vitality, of course, on the red side. Splice on the blue as we enter the pick ban phase. Rise taken off the board immediately, denying that from Jizuke. But I think eyes do have to be on that Urgot ban. The desk already brought it up.
Yep, the cab got, as the desk said, already seeing some nice picks here on the side of Vitality taken away. Of course, Jizuke synonymous with the champion Rise, and Cabochard has been piloting the Jace as his secondary pick alongside the Urgot to try and dominate out of the top lane. And the analyst desk was wondering, is he one of the most dominators in the top lane, or is the Urgot propping him up? And I think Splice might be wanting to sort of force him onto that Urgot pick.
Splice could be the team to answer that question for us. We will find out. Cabo getting a lot more attention this season than he has in splits past. Of course, the stats showing that it's working out for Vitality, but maybe today is a different story. Maybe today's the day he's stuck on tank duty. We'll see, though. It really only feels like Sion is the only tank at the top lane, so it seems pretty hard to force someone.
Yeah, Sion's definitely the only true tank up top side. Ooh. And for all these players here, I think Cabochard is one of the ones that absolutely does not want to play those tanks. The Urgot is about as tanky as it gets. Other than that, it's been the Jace 3 times and a Rumble pick once. So with Urgot up and available, we expect him to go for that champion.
Except they banned it away themselves. Christy, I know. You had the mental block. You saw it. You're like, there's no way they'd do that. But they did, Christy. They took it away from Cabo. Now maybe our eyes go to something like a Kennen if they want a priority first pick top lane. But for now, the Zoe has been locked in by the side of Splice, and it's interesting to see a non-flex pick kind of first picked here in the mid lane.
Yeah, I like seeing this Draven here too for Attila. I mean, this guy got a lot of confidence back after his match against Schalke last week. He smacked Upset in that matchup. He carried his team for that victory. So now trying to get him on something lane dominant. We've seen Draven paired along things like the Thresh in the past to look for those 2v2 kills and to set up for great ganks from this jungler Mowgli.
Instead, though, it is going to be the Jarvan locked in. Now, this has historically gone to the hands of Mowgli. Cabo has yet to play it this season, though we have seen the pick on the top side of the map in two very different games from Mowgli last week. One, he was invisible. One, he was literally everywhere. So once again, that volatility does come into question as we get further into the draft.
Mowgli, one of those players that always loves to lock in the champions that can go fight at level 2 and invade into the enemy jungle, where Xerxes usually puts some more scaling on his side. We've seen the Karthus banned away already, but the Sejuani would be another one of those picks that paired up alongside the Zoe. Wouldn't surprise me to see look for some picks in the mid to late game.
Also just excellent in the hands of Xerxes. Now with the Jarvan already up, there is one ult for Sylas to steal, and immediately it is going to be picked up. Where it's going to go, we still don't know. Of course, a lot of players on this team that are known as innovators, Xerxes and Vizicachi especially, and that is the 3 potential places it could go, although I feel like not going to go into the mid lane with the Zoe already picked.
Yeah, definitely going to be the top lane Sylas at the moment. Would be my guess. That's going to be the Echo already locked in here for Jizuke. This is another one of those classic picks that he's gone back to time and time again in the past. And you might look at it and be like, hey, a melee champion to Zoe seems pretty scary, but he can force onto the Zoe with this Echo pick. And if he ever does get hit by a bubble and thinks he's in some trouble, he can ulti out of that and just completely negate the poke.
All right, and I'm going to be honest, I love these compositions already. I feel like all of these are going to be so explosive. The Sylas, the potential to engage, to go in for those aggressive trades. You talked about it earlier today. It's almost the way that you have to play him if you want to come out on top. But interestingly enough, the Galio, the Poppy, now the more defensive picks being banned away, which is even more what I want to see, because if all the defensive picks are gone and all you have left is aggressive picks, Ender, then people are gonna go down.
Yeah, we love kills here in the LEC, especially if we're looking at our last game. But the thing that catches my eye here with the Galio ban is that I think that's actually directed towards the support pool. We've seen Galio support played a ton over in the LCK, and with already seeing the mid lane locked in for Jizuke, we can expect now that Splice are trying to limit some of these champions that can force all-ins here alongside Draven to look for early game kills.
And of course, a terrifying combo of the Jarvan and the Galio together. Aatrox, now the Kennen going to be banned away as well. Going to limit the option for Cabo. Of course, we'll have the final pick here on the red side, but the Thresh, the immediate lock-in for Attila. Draven Thresh, a lane you brought up earlier.
Yeah, I'm wondering now what Splice have in mind, because you have to expect the Thresh is going to come in from Jack Troll. He just loves that champion, and alongside the Draven, we know they can make some plays. So for this side of Splice, I still see Alistar as an option to pair alongside the Lucian. That can be some strong 2v2 all-ins as well.
Ooh.
No, oh my goodness!
Oh, I love it. This is what I want, Ender!
This is so sick. And so Blitzcrank Theorycraft time, right? You see a Draven on the other side. Draven, he has these giant targets that appear on the ground, or he wants to run. He has to run to pick them up to win the trade. So what does Blitzcrank do? He just throws a skill shot at that circle, yanks him in, and if he misses, that means Draven dropped his axe, so it's a win-win situation.
I'm ready to see it. Although now the final pick, this hover, does have me wondering a little bit what's going to happen here. Looks like that is a Ornn now locked in. Northscare and Braum just goes hand in hand. You got to bear with me here. And that could mean that we see Sylas in the jungle, Ender.
Yeah, now this is really interesting, because I wasn't thinking that we were going to see Sylas in the jungle. He is definitely playable, and that's one of the strengths of Sylas, is you can flex him between mid and that jungle position. But now up against an Elise, this is a champion in Sylas that falls very low in his first clear. Mowgli now taking the Elise, flexing Jarvan to topside, is looking to go ham here in the early game.
Of course, Ornn now versus the J4. We have the Elise versus the Sylas. Echo versus the Zoe on the opposite side. Ender, we have two very explosive compositions. You got to tell me where to look, because I feel like any lane I point to is going to have some kind of action in it.
There's going to be action all over the place. Specifically, I like this middle lane. We have Zoe versus Echo. Jizuke's classic Echo here, and with the jungler in the Elise, I want to see Vitality now playing around mid to top side of the map, because Elise alongside Echo can look to pressure the Zoe. It can also be so devastating alongside the Jarvan. Level 2, level 3 ganks up to the top side are going to blow Vizichachi out of the water.
It is going to be, of course, a lot of pressure to find leads in the early game with a pick like that Elise. Jungle Sylas, the first time we see it on this stage. I want to see exactly what its clear looks like, how it's going to be utilized in teamfights. A lot of questions are going to be answered in this game. Under consistency for Vitality, can Splice transition those early leads into something more, into a snowballed win? That is what we're going to find out in this matchup. Vitality versus Splice. And all I know for sure is that I'm hard willing to bet that there will be at least 5 kills within the first 15 minutes.
Oh.
I feel it. I feel it in my bones.
We might have 10 kills, Dracos.
Yes.
These are absolutely wild
I don't even care if you're just trying to rile me up right now. That's what I wanted to hear, Ender.
Oh man, I'm ready for this. Splice coming in just one game in the standings behind Vitality, trying to bring some consistency, but I see this team comp, I do not see consistency. I see a lot of players that want to make some plays by themselves, and the question is, can it pay off as we get into this match?
All right, Fnatic Jarvan reminding us that Trinity Force and Death's Dance is the way to go. Don't know if we'll see that from Cabo, but we will find out. Splice versus Vitality, now setting foot onto the Rift. Of course, jungle starts, always going to be important here as we set foot into these games. And the Elise versus Sylas, once again, not a matchup that I'm familiar with.
Luckily I am, because actually, see, when I left EULCS, as it was called last year, you might remember that, I went back to NA for a little while.
You did.
And I was working with the playtest team again. And you know what we were working on while I was there?
Was it Sylas?
It was Sylas. And you know what role I play?
Is it jungle?
It's jungle. So I played a lot
good.
of jungle Sylas. You're just on fire today, Dracos.
Thank you.
Now the question is, will Xerxes be? Because honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the Sylas pick in this role, and that's because he takes a while before he can sort of scale up. Because his first clear, he falls very, very low. Where you usually see him use his W to get a lot of sustain in lane, he's not going to be able to do that in his jungle. So you have to think of this champion more like a Nidalee, where his first clear, pretty weak, he's going to fall low, he probably doesn't want to do any fighting. After his first base, though, he's going to get his upgraded jungle item, he's going to do much better at clearing the jungle, and then once he gets Runic Echoes, he blitzes through camps, and that's really when he's going to have a lot more power in this game.
Well, Xerxes has option to start with the E, the Abscon Abduct. We'll get some good AoE damage down there on the passive. Gets 2 procs of it, though.
And that's the biggest part here on the Sylas. He's actually done this before, I can tell, because he knows exactly how many ticks the Talisman is going to do on that Raptor camp. So he actually has a pretty good early clear already starting on the Raptor camp. The question is, will he go over towards the Krugs next to hit the early level 3, then maybe look for a base, which might set him up for a pretty solid second round through the jungle clear.
Ender, now that we've talked a little bit about the jungle matchup, I think we will have to watch the Elise to a certain degree, but I do want your thoughts on the bottom side of the map because we are seeing a lot of aggressive trading back and forth. It looks like a hook did connect from Northscaren, not enough to get Attila to force his flash, but pressure here already very much in favor of the Vitality bot lane.
Yep, level 1 Draven can be able to push pretty easily, picking up those axes. Thresh also can actually walk up and apply pressure through the wave because he can start with his E, whereas Blitzcrank, it's a little more hard, especially against professional players, to land that level 1 poke for a sick engagement, but he lands it there.
Connect. Aftershock's already been procced. The Ignite is now ticking down. Kabi is going to go for the aggressive flash. He's moving forward. He wants to kill onto Attila. That's first blood. Nice signature pick, Kabi says, taking him down.
Yeah, Northscaren comes in with a pick of his own. The Blitzcrank hits him with the lap PM too. You hate to see that if you're Attila. And in the draft, we're like, man, Attila coming off last week with so much confidence. Well, you die at level 2 to a Blitzcrank hook. You better believe that's all gone now for the Vitality bot lane.
Got some boots now, can look to dodge future hooks, but definitely not the start that the Draven ever wants to have. Northscaren, fantastic hook there, and you got to feel like Attila just wasn't respecting the accuracy from Northscaren.
Now here I'm looking at Mowgli, because I know he loves to get inside the enemy jungle. And Cabochard actually walked in earlier after pushing to put down a nice ward. Xerxes going to be walking all the way around here, doesn't actually know where Mowgli is on the map. So this is going to mean he uses his E over the wall. That doesn't give him a tool to get out, but he does not get the smite.
Now has to back off here, not going to be able to get anything else. Mowgli's going to grab the camp in the end, but Vizichachi just going to be an escape route for the Elise, and Jarvan is here. Just try it, but that's a low health bar for Mowgli. He's already in the escape, and they're going to immediately go in. Another kill for Splice here, Ender.
Splice are just abusing some miscommunication issues here because Cabochard is walking away as Mowgli goes for the engagement. Splice absolutely abusing. We said Vitality were going to be a volatile team coming in here, and Splice have found 2 huge openings to jump out to an early lead.
And Mowgli going for the aggressive counter jungle here. Humanoid though. Sleepy Trouble will come in just in time, not going to get stunned up. But so interesting to see that aggressive use of the repel, or the defensive use of the repel to take him to safety, and still Splice willing to commit on the back of that play.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Mowgli was going to be able to get out of there alive, honestly, because you look at the 2v2 of an Elise Jarvan against that of an Orange Sylas, it's probably not going to be that good, but because Splice were able to get all of their damage onto Mowgli before Cabo even entered into the fight, they were able to get that kill, and Cabo, once he uses EQ, isn't going to have too much to offer in that engagement.
Did have to back off, burn so many of those cooldowns, does not work out in the end. We check in on the gold, Ender 800 gold lead. Suddenly, he's gotten that first back off for Xerxes. He's gotten that small advantage that he may have needed to get his jungle kick-started. Cabo just doing what he can to continue trading effectively on the top side of the map. But for now, Splice, the early game that we say comes in every game so incredibly consistently is there once again, and not necessarily in a match we'd expect it to.
No, definitely not. This is one of those games where getting an early advantage is going to springboard you into a very powerful mid game, because this composition from Splice is excellent at singling out individual targets. You have Zoe plus Blitzcrank, which is absolutely fantastic for trying to find any picks, and then eventually Xerxes can go ahead and grab a Cabochard ultimate, use that to jump onto any flashless target, because he has so many gap closes with the double cast of the E into the R. He can be that pseudo Jarvan and find those engagements.
Cabo may be someone that you have to keep your eyes on as we look forward, as we look for a way to Vitality to make up some of this gold difference. But I think once again, eyes have to shift down to the bottom side of the map. Attila, some really unforced errors here. Doesn't use the flash there in that exchange, and you can see how good he is when he is on point, how dominant this player can be. But we've also seen the other side of the coin, Ender.
We absolutely have. It's been a real question mark here for Vitality's bottom lane in the split. I mean, in games they win, Vitality and Jack Troll look very, very good, but in the games they lose, it is not the same story, and that's why the concern has to be with Attila dying at level 2 with Norskeren and Kabe having complete control of this lane. Let's look at top.
Play on the top side, immediately Mogus swap form, get the chain CC, follow up, and a kill now traded back, just as predicted, coming in right on that Jarvan level 6 too.
I mean, Jarvan at least is so nasty, especially when you're looking at an Ornn, who a few patches ago lost the, guess what, he lost the shield. That makes trading and stepping forward in lane a little bit harder. And without the flash as well, a very easy kill, a very easy turret plate to be picked up solo here by Cabochard is going to give him an even bigger gold advantage. It's 700 gold in the top lane because he's been smashing in CS. He gets that kill, he gets the plate. He's in a great position to try and impact the rest of the game off of this advantage.
And they're going to need to. Hook. Oh. Good use of the Blood Rush, makes it out. We've all been there. We've all tried to outrun the Blitzcrank hook. Doesn't work out as well for some of us, but Attila does manage to make the safety.
You can see, though, after the hook goes down, exactly what Jack Troll and Attila do. They step up much more aggressively in lane because, let's face it, when Blitz misses his hook, the rest of his kit just does nothing in the 2v2 unless you go for a full commitment, and even then, it's going to be much weaker. So look for Vitality, now that they've fallen a little bit behind, to play around that cooldown, and that's when they can go aggressive, when it is down.
See if there's any other points of aggression. Xerxes, of course, now with the level 6 means he can start to take some of these ultimates, get a little bit creative. Stealing an Echo ult, very nice. Stealing Jarvan as well. Really a lot of good options here. Bot lane not quite as appealing.
Yeah, he can also just turn into a spider for as long as he wants, whenever he wants, which it's a little interesting, and I talked about this at the top of the day.
Is that the one that we needed to talk about, was the spider one?
Well, because some people don't know. It's like, well, what happens when you get transformed? Bot lane, Attila with the flash.
Hook goes in, nice pull forward. They are going to get the knockup, so they immediately go,
oh my god!
Oh god! Give him a chance to move!
That was dirty! You can see on the other side of the map, though, Vitality zoning Chachi off of this wave. I mean, it's Splice that are getting the kills, and they still have this large advantage, especially in the area of the map where it matters, because eventually we're going to get to late game. Chachi's just going to be buying items for Kabe to carry even harder.
Oh no, here it comes. One more time. Unstoppable there, but the Cataclysm is going to come out. They're going to grab one more kill onto Chachi. Does stun into the wall, now trying to pull back Cabochard. He's going to be able to make out Mowgli. I don't think it's going to be so lucky, though. Well played by Chachi in the end, and looks not 10 minutes and there's 6 kills. And we are on track, sir, to your 10-kill prediction.
We're doing it, and man, that feels so bad. Because honestly, Mowgli played that really well. He didn't quite have the flash up just yet, but he gets blocked by the post. Now, of course, in the bottom lane, Attila and Jack Troll actually played the start of it pretty nicely, but he gets yoinked straight out of the lantern. That is just a bad news for Attila as we move forward to see this play up the top side. And Chachi, his mistake is he doesn't realize there's a ward in this bush. He was trying to sneak up close to maybe get some experience, but didn't realize Mowgli was wrapping around towards going for that tower dive. But great placement on the Q there stops Mowgli from getting out with his life.
We haven't seen this champion be successful in so long. I forgot how obnoxious that Ornn little pillar can be. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a pause now. We will see how this one unfolds, but already a very electric matchup, kind of as expected, seeing a lot of resources put into topside once again for Kaba, without the Urgot, without the Jace, which I think is cool that they are willing to commit even without some of those comfort picks there.
Yeah, and I mean, as soon as they sort of put Jarvan into the top side of the map, it made me think, hey, Mowgli's going to want to play for this lane, but it becomes a little bit awkward, I think, when you see the overall draft, because yes, you want to play for topside, that's where you get the freest kills, but at the same time, you have a Draven Thresh on the other side of the map. That lane is supposed to go aggressive. It's supposed to be, trying to cash in that passive. And because now Mowgli's been sort of, baited into playing for this top side of the map, for lack of a better word, now Attila and Jack Troll are being pressured by Xerxes. They've lost the 2v2, and they're 0-2 on a Draven pick that probably shouldn't be 0-2 if you're trying to pick it in your first rotation.
That's kind of one of the difficult things about Vitality when they try to draft these lanes, where, especially with the Draven, where if you get that kill, it takes off and it feels so good. But if you're not willing to commit the resources there, it always feels a little bit awkward. Ender, of course, the icing on the cake in this matchup is a lot of the banter going down between Jack Troll and Norskeren.
Oh yeah?
Have you seen Shrek? Are you familiar with the Gingerbread Man?
I'm familiar with the Gingerbread Man, yeah.
So the only reason this is show appropriate is because they used a gingerbread man, but Jack Troll basically said, I'm going to tear your gingerbread legs off and mock you with them. So really wholesome, because it's a gingerbread man.
It's not wholesome, man.
It's Shrek.
Think about the gingerbread man. What do you ever do to you?
It's a family film. All right, well, luckily we can drop it. Splice.
Get that image. I can't get that image out of my head.
Watch the movie. It's wholesome, I swear. You're just too young. All right, moving in, 9 minutes into the game, 4-2 is the kill score. Humanoid's gonna grab that one. The gold, though, surprisingly even, and a lot of that is going to be, once again, on the top side. Once again, Cabo, the man that we have to talk about. And if we take a chance to look at some of his stats, you can see why Vitality might be willing to invest resources into him, because 30 CS leads in a 2-0 scoreline is definitely where you want to be.
Yeah, and I mean, this guy has just been top of the league, honestly. And I think even last year, too, he was a super strong top laner and didn't get the praise he deserved. He comes into 2019 and has been dominating. We had questions. Is it just the Urgot? Well, the Jarvan has looked real good, too, with some assistance here from Mowgli. So now the question is, with that time put into the man in the top lane for Vitality, can he turn that into an advantage across the rest of the map? He doesn't have teleport, but Jack Troll and Mowgli are looking for a play on this bottom side of the map.
Here comes Suzuki. Kabi, that's not the bush you want to be. Oh, he showed! Still get the hook, though. Chain CC. Lucian gonna try to dash, but no hope. Shut down now. Gold going to the Elise.
Yep, a lot of goals here for the Elite. Should push her forward for that Runic Echoes to match the pace of Xerxes. Unfortunately for Attila, wasn't quite in range, couldn't land the Whirling Death to get a kill, or at the very least, an assist, as Cabochard takes a monster trade against Shachi.
Trying to avoid some of these trades here, but now the Zoe's moving up as well. If Cabo wants to get aggressive here, he's going to get knocked up. The damage coming forward. Now Sleepy desperately wants to get the kill. Asleep tries to block out a little bit here. Vizichachi fails to flash. Can't get it. Shut down. Going over to the Ornn, and immediately that lane match is going to be so evened out.
Yeah, I mean, Chachi was down 1,000 gold. A 500 shutdown bounty makes him come right back into the game.
Immediately has a 450 gold bounty. This is League of Legends, folks. It is no longer... It is a game about bounty hunting. That's what you need to understand. And Jizuke is a man who wants 450 gold.
Jizuke is actually running the Unsealed Spellbook. He popped to the Ghost there to try to run into the top lane as fast as he could, because he knew Chachi didn't have the ultimate. Wasn't able to get much out of it, unfortunately for himself, though.
And we check back in. We look across the map at some of the plays that have been going down. And this one, you can see why Cabo wants to go. He knows that he's the guy that has to make a play, but just does not respect the presence from the Zoe.
Yeah, well, the problem is that Jizuke is hovering towards the bottom side of mid lane because he was just coming off of that kill in the bottom side. So Cabochard obviously not watching the minimap, not communicating well enough with his lanes, and he tries to dunk him for the kill there, but gets put to sleep. And a great flash from Chachi. He stays in range so he can get the clap from his passive and get the shutdown, but he avoids the Q from Cabochard to stay alive.
All right. Good flash. I thought bad flash first time. I like
he dodged it. It was sick.
Works out. Could have flashed over the wall. Chose not to. Stayed in the play. Of course, Cabo should still, in theory, be in an okay spot in this lane, but sadly, without the Black Cleaver finished, the armor coming in now is going to be very difficult.
Definitely is. Of course, for Chachi, he's just trying to sustain through this lane. Because, of course, you want to hit level 13, level 14, and start buying those Ornn upgrade items for your team. That was the biggest change with Ornn, really felt like. He got his Unstoppable back, lost the shield on his W, but now, instead of having his own teammate spend 1,000 gold in the shop to get those upgrades, he just gets to choose who gets them, doesn't have to spend a penny. All it needs is to hit that level 13 mark, turn to level 14, you can start donating one item per level.
It's going to be very strong, especially on a lot of these champions that are going to get more and more terrifying as the game progresses. Notably the Sylas, the Zoe as well, getting some of these item spikes. Already obnoxious to deal with, but for now, Splice pushing in their vision a little bit, trying to gain more control over the jungle. Mowgli doing his best to dance around it, but Sylas with this Echo ult feels a little untouchable. However, Zoe not quite so untouchable. Suzuki, though, playing this one slow, now trying to back off as Northscaron has made his way into the lane.
Oh, Mowgli gets caught. Okay. Well, Splice had walked all the way inside of Vitality's jungle and had gotten the drop down on Mowgli to get the kill. Now topside, Chachi in trouble.
Flag and drag and use the Cataclysm as well. Vizichachi, no flash available. He's going to try to use the ultimate to try to turn this one back, but we'll get nothing there. That is the shutdown.
450 gold shutdown traded right back. So it's like the first kill never even happened. He got 50 gold out of killing the Jarvan right there. So they should be able to try and knock down a turret plate or two. Cabochard is fairly low, but he should know that the rest of Splice is on the bottom side of the map. He sticks around for that one solo, and we'll trade that kill and a bit of extra gold for the Cloud Drake.
Cloud Drake, of course, going to be nice to have on a lot of these champions. The Zoe, the Sylas especially. Other champions, and the Blitzcrank. Not quite as keen, but definitely not ideal. Obviously, you always kind of want something like an Infernal when you're playing with the poke of a Zoe, but Jack Troll looking to make something happen. Immediate cleanse is going to be used now. Pull back to the team. Beautiful use of the Lantern. Jizuke, though, not going to be able to get anything else here. All summoners burn from Humanoid in that exchange.
Hey, that was a really nice play there from Jack Troll to set up for Jizuke. And while that was all happening, Cabochard used his TP to get into the top lane to take 2 more plates for himself. So Vitality are really trying to snowball this top side of the map. And now the Humanoid doesn't have any summoner spells, it's very easy for them to take control over this river and look for a potential fight.
Flag and drag once again. Cabo, every time he finds the opportunity, will go in. Now with the Black Cleaver available as well, that's a pretty big difference in relative damage output. But Ender, as we see this Riptail go down, I do want to talk a little bit about scaling. Of course, something we always have to hit in these games, but these two comps, obviously very unique. So I'm curious who you think has the edge here.
Well, as far as edge, I almost always have to give it to Zoe because she can create so much pressure with the poke she provides. And it's pretty easy to single out some of these targets on the Vitality side if you are Humanoid and you have vision control. But that's the key part right here. Splice, in order to sort of accelerate the game, need to have vision control so they can set up for Blitzcrank for Zoe. But they do have the added flexibility because Sylas can switch over to that Jarvan ult. They can use that alongside the Ornn to start team fights once they have the poke down.
Well, Cabo's immediately going to go in here on the play. Mowgli now in trouble, has to go up, comes right back down, wants to get out of this play immediately. Xerxes has stolen the ultimate, is now going to fall off. North Garen throwing the hook over the wall, and Jizuke and the rest of the team now fighting here. That's going to be the cash-in for Attila. Massive spike in gold, trying to chain the CC. They're going to move in. They're not going to get the follow-up on the Echo, but North Garen is still set to fall. The Z-Dive Resonance speeding him up, and that's the double for Attila.
Attila putting some money in the bank right there, and that was the most Vitality fight ever. The mid-outer turret is still up, but they just run straight into the jungle. Because Kabi is down in the bottom lane, they had so much confidence to make that play happen. And they take complete control of the top side, but now a teleport comes in. That's going to be from Vizichachi, and he has the Ornn Horn.
Going to be big here. Going to have to see if we get the follow-up connect. Xerxes now ready to leap forward. Knows that the Thresh is the priority target. Has seen the Lantern come out. Cabo is next on the menu. Holding his time on the flag and drag. Backing off. Does not quite have enough mana. Just wants to clear the wave. Now juking around to get the knock-up. Well played by Cabo, but not enough. Abscond, abduct, and that's going to be a death. Who's going to get it? Kabi?
There we go.
Shut down. Going to the Lucian.
Yeah, lots of money right there for Kabe. And, I mean, Splice take advantage of an overstay there from Vitality. But let's see this fight one more time because Mowgli and the rest of Vitality know they can walk past this turret with the Rift Herald. They engage here over onto Chachi inside the jungle, meaning he can't get his ultimate off. That means the team fight is a no-go here for Splice. Kabe isn't in the picture, so the rest of Vitality just walk straight on in, push Splice completely out of their jungle, and with a good flash, they pick up an extra kill onto North Garen.
Double kill, double cash in. Second one obviously very small for the Draven, but still a massive difference here. And you were talking about how important vision is for this comp as we watch the rest of the play roll out. Well, Vitality did their diligence, got all the vision on top side. The good news for Splice, though, they do, in the end, get this kill. Cabo does his best to outplay, but of course, Sylas has the potential to chase you.
Yeah, I mean, I just scratched my head wondering why Vitality stay pushing top lane, because Attila runs back to mid, he wants to pick up some farm, and there's no way they can get the turret in time. They were expecting a 2v turret, sure, they didn't think a TP was going to come through, but you have to be able to foresee all of those sorts of plays, otherwise you're going to give Splice an opportunity to get back in the game, but not if you catch out Humanoid.
Yeah, not if you catch out Humanoid. Humanoid now running, he's going to hit the Thresh, but that's the least important target. Whirling Death, the Draven on a killing spree. Just when you think you've shut him out of the game, he finds 3 quick kills across these fights, and now a 2k gold lead coming in for Vitality.
So by the way, we did hit the 15 kill, or we hit more than 10 kills in 15 minutes. Just thought you might want to know that. But now is where the game gets really interesting, I think, for Vitality. Because Jizuke, you don't see it right now, but he has the teleport. He's just switched over to the Unsealed Spellbook. He dominates in a side lane against pretty much anyone. And Splice, they don't really have someone that can match him. Right now it's Chachi, but if Cabo and Jizuke both go into opposite lanes on the map, you're going to have to make Humanoid actually leave, which is really bad for this team comp, because I firmly believe the only way they really make things happen very distinctly is off of good bubble plays. And if Humanoid is sent to bottom lane in a bad matchup where he has to just clear waves, that's going to be a real big trouble here for Splice.
Jizuke is moving down to that bottom side. Vizichachi, as predicted, just backing off. Can't, of course, take any of those trades. Now, Ender, if you are playing on the side of Vitality here, you talked about the difficulties for Splice, but Vitality, how are they going to close this out? What is kind of the next step for this team?
Well, they're going to be looking towards this Drake in the next 10 seconds. They have complete vision dominance over this bottom side, and actually the top side of the map too. They have a lot of control wards sprinkled around. They haven't really been focusing on just one area of the map, but just because their team comp is so threatening, they can sort of jump on you at a moment's notice. Splyce have been very hesitant to sort of push up now that they've lost that outer turret. It's only now that they have Kabe pushing up on the top side that they're bringing some support around him to start layering down some vision, knowing that Baron is going to be spawning in a minute, and that is the next real objective on the map for them to connect.
And this is interesting. Splyce moved to the top side, expecting to get a trade here, but Vitality now willing to match. Mowgli coming in quick. Not quick enough, though. Cloud Drake and this movement speed steroid from the Blitzcrank will take him out to safety. Kabi, though, could be in trouble if the flag drag and the ulti comes out, but pretty easy for Lucian to dash from that one. Hook is going to go wide there. Splyce now backing off, and the tower will stay up.
Yeah, this play from Vitality was actually really interesting because I expected them to just sacrifice the tower and take the dragon. But what they don't want to give up is control over this river. Because, well, we said Splyce have a good pick comp. Vitality have Jarvan, they have Thresh, they have Elise. They have a lot of ways to sort of catch out your targets who are trying to layer down vision for your team. So by not sacrificing top lane turret, they force Splyce away from that area of the map. Splyce aren't able to put down any vision in towards the river, and now they get a free dragon without trading anything on the opposite side.
Well played, now matching the clouds here, so both teams are just going to be able to chase their respective opponents. Level 11, still just shy for the Sylas. Not too important for the Elise, but will be an important break point. I think whenever we talk about Sylas, we always talk about kind of this level 16 as being this big point. That's the one in solo queue that always feels so oppressive when he is able to steal ults back to back to back.
Yeah, that's the sort of interesting thing in this game because honestly, I'm not too impressed with the ultimates he can get. Of course, he'll be able to pick up the Thresh ult for some extra CC. He has a lot of zone control with the Thresh as well as the Jarvan, but in terms of the rest, he does have some long range on the Draven ult if he wants to look for that to poke or to finish off of a kill. But really, the most interesting one for me has to be this Echo ultimate, because one of Sylas's big weaknesses in team fights is that his E tells him he has to go in if he wants to participate in a fight. So now he can grab that Echo ult, get a big burst of damage off with, you know, his E combo dashing in and using all of his spells, and then if he gets himself in a little bit of trouble, can use that rewind to jump out of the fight.
We basically built an Echo. We built a second Echo. Oh, flash for flash. That's a very positive trade for Splyce if Northscarin doesn't get in trouble here.
It is interesting because, we're going to have to hold that Thux mid lane.
Want to keep the fight going. Ram is just going to go wide. Good use of the Lantern from Jacktroll. He's been on point this game.
Now, while this is happening, Cabochard is pushing in the bottom lane, and he does have teleport, so he's going to put down some vision for himself and let the minions hit underneath the tower. But Splyce, because they brought Chachi up, they get full control over the river around the Baron. They also have a wave here, but now a teleport comes in from Vitality. They want to fight.
They're not even going to look at Kabi. They're trying to slow him down. Cabo, Blitzcrank flashing over the wall, trying to interrupt, trying to get something done, but no, the 80 carry is going to watch out for his life. Jizuke is still getting it, immediately snaps back with the ultimate Northscarin and no man's land, and he will go down. Vitality with perfect access to the pit now.
Now with Cabochard chunked out, Vitality may be hesitant to start this Baron up, but at the moment there's no one that can really walk into the river. Chachi is about as good as it gets, and right now Jizuke is trying to zone away the jungler from Splyce.
Xerxes looking to go toe-to-toe with the Echo, but a 4-level advantage is going to make that one difficult. The Elise wants to secure this one.
And Xerxes has the Echo ultimate. He can go in for a steal if he makes it. No, he wastes it now.
Humanoid now. Jizuke is trying to follow up, trying to take the jungler out of the equation. His team is focused on the Baron. He's willing to give his life to make this one happen. Vizichachi now
Mowgli's
moving
low.
in. Where's it going to go? He has it. Not going to happen in the end. He wants to get it, but he goes down. Attila now on a rampage. They are going to take this one down in the end. It is a mess, but Vitality find the Baron and a 6K gold lead.
It's a flag from Cabochard from over the wall to lock it down. That was ugly, Dracos, but it worked in the end there for Vitality. I mean, Jizuke doing so much work trying to zone Xerxes away from the pit, but it almost didn't matter because Chachi with the spellbook was switching over to Smite, trying to take that one away. In the end, now 22 minutes into the game is really where Vitality can start to use this Baron across all separate lanes with the 1-3-1. We'll see this one more time because Splyce looked like they got everything in this trade, but a good flanking ward from Cabochard spots Humanoid, who doesn't have the flash. He has to pick one up and then spend that. And then they find the engagement. Northscarin has nowhere to go. Jizuke is able to snipe out Kabe on the backside of the fight. And then they go for the turn towards the Baron.
And that replay brought to you by Alienware, and it just continues to play out. You can see how willing Jizuke is to throw himself into the enemy jungler to stop this play from going down. But Vizichachi He sees his spellbook. He sees his smite. He sees his chance, Ender.
It's the dream, and he comes in here and he actually kills Mowgli, but I think he uses the smite a little bit early right there to try and stay alive. That meant no steal, that meant no fight. The rest of Vitality had to back away.
And in real time, Humanoid is doing his best to stop Vizichachi from dying, but the pressure has already begun with this 1-3-1 Ender Echo on the bottom side of the map. 3 members strong for Vitality with the Elise moving back and forth, and Cabo on the top side, so difficult spot for Splice to be.
And now if you're Splice, who do you send bottom lane? It has to be Vizichachi. Zoe has to stay with the rest of the team. She can't clear the waves easily enough. So Vitality are going to reset. They've got now 2 towers. They're looking to break this 3rd inner on the top side of the map, and then once that goes down, they can really start to lay down the pressure. The waves are a bit desynced at the moment, so I think Splice should be able to clear this away, but mid lane is very hard to get rid of if you send multiple members down locked.
Now trying to lock Shizuke. Does, of course, have the ultimate available. Takes a lot of damage there in the exchange, and of course, Xerxes has the ultimate from the Jarvan. If he wants to use it, Cataclysm not going to be the priority here. Splice definitely just trying to pick at the health bars of the Vitality lineup, but have to respect the potential for all, and Jackpaw has perfect vision of this. He's just going to throw the hook, and throws it now. Well played. Chain CC now comes in immediately. He's going to go down. I'm sorry.
I don't think that's going to work.
Not gonna. Oh! The escape! Jizuke's on the hunt, goes right back in and right back out. That's the beauty of the Echo. Now Vizichachi trying to find the follow-up. That's a low health Draven. The Ignite is ticking, but it is just not enough.
Splice know that they needed to try and force a fight, it felt like, but unfortunately it was just a little bit disjointed. Now Jizuke, he TPs back into the bottom lane, and Vitality, they can just pressure all these towers.
Ender, this is how you know Vitality are feeling confident, when they don't fear anything, when they use those teleports to get back in, to just keep the pressure up, and now Jarvan moving in, canceling out the Sleepy as much as he can with the Unstoppable, and now Humanoid gets taken down as well. North Karen is going to run for his life. Hook goes wide, so the Blitzcrank will get to live. And Vizichachi's fighting an Echo, but Echo's just hitting the tower. Desperately, they want to grab this one, but Suzuki just taking his time, just backing off slowly but surely. Vitality just picking this team apart.
I mean, Splice just can't find a fight. That's another inhibitor falling in mid lane. Now the rest of Vitality walks down bottom lane, and the engage does not work. Xerxes is unable to find the Echo, who just chrono breaks right on out of there. Vitality, they reset, they go pick themselves up an Infernal Drake, and can waltz it straight back into the Splice fountain and look for the kill.
And at this point, Ender, I felt like early in the game, I felt like Splice were off to such a good start, but all it took was one incredibly explosive play, playing around Cabo, playing around the Elise engage here, and just bringing the whole team together in the mid lane. Splice making that one mistake feels like it turned this entire game around.
Yeah, I mean, you have to sort of look at the composition from Splice as well. It's not like they're very well equipped to look for a team fight. You need to be finding poke with this Zoe, chunking people out and using that poke to take control of pockets of vision, then using that to try and start off the fight with a good engage onto 1 or 2 targets, and they weren't able to find that, and whole different sort of tells the story.
That just sounds slow to me. That sounds like a slow and steady play style coming in from Splice, and sadly, Vitality with their composition, the second they get an advantage, they just speed the game up. You can see it. Mowgli even now is looking for an opportunity to find these picks. Jizuke is fishing with that W, looking for the opportunity to stun someone up, and right now it's absolutely Vitality's game. 10k gold lead, 2 Drakes backing them up, 1 inhibitor stands in front of them, and Xerxes grabbing this Cataclysm. Cabo's does not care.
He doesn't. Chachi tries to get some poke. Mowgli gonna force him out of the jungle though. Chachi's still level 13. He can't buy items for his teammates just yet. If Splice want to hold on for anything, it is that. But now Vitality with 4 members in the bottom lane. Jizuke escorting the wave in mid, getting ready for the pick onto Kabe. Will he go for it? He will.
The stun does not even gonna be needed. That Echo damage is disgusting. Level 17 for Jizuke. Jackal gonna fall, but the hook not going to connect. Jizuke just continuing to throw in the poke. Vitality in an absolutely dominant position as Cabo slide steps the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Jizuke fishing for yet another stun. Mowgli walking the wave in mid lane. It looks like Vitality are determined to end. Here comes the ultimate though, going for Vizichachi. Humanoid locked up, but it might not be enough. Immediately the Jarvan goes in as well. He's in the fountain, but he's burning down. He is going to survive. Double kill comes in for Jizuke. Vitality cleaning it up in style, but nothing left. Pull the Ornn right back into the team. Attila unstoppable now, and this is going to be a victory. Flashes in. He gets Sleepy in the fountain. It's the 1-for-1, but at the end of the day, Ender, Vitality find the win.
They find the win, and they find it quick here up against Splice. It was just that one team fight in the mid lane, inside the jungle of Splice, and Vitality, their train would not be stopped.
Really, at the end of the day, we got nervous. We looked at what the analyst desk said, and we're like, this is the inconsistency they talked about.
Oh my God,
it's
they
all
died
falling
twice.
apart. But it was also the Splice early game they talked about. And then the mid game, it was Vitality who showed up, who found that opportunity, who turned the game around. And once Splice were on the back foot, just did not see much. We saw a lot of engages where Vitality was dictating the pace, and a lot of Horns that I feel like were very responsive, trying desperately to save what was a one-sided fight.
Yeah, he was trying to call for the fight. Unfortunately, Vitality outmanned them, they outgunned them, and they just took it to him right there.
And with that win, and of course Schalke was lost earlier today, Vitality are in sole control of second place. Crucial as we move forward, as we look at what that can do for you. Of course, puts you into the pseudo double elimination bracket. They will have to hold on to it in the games to come, but definitely have to be feeling good about it right now.
You absolutely do, and we know this team lives and dies by their solo laners, and Cabochard and Jizuke had two incredible performances in this game. Cabochard had Mowgli play for him early on, they were able to dive that Ornn, build up a big advantage, and use that initiation tool to just dive onto the backline repeatedly, tag team with Jizuke to kill Kabe and Humanoid nearly every time.
And you gotta remember, we were kind of scared when we saw the Draven go down early game, but then when you look back onto the top side of the map and you saw what was basically a 40 CS lead in the early game and 2 kills as well for the Jarvan, you kind of remember, oh yes, that's right, recently when Vitality had been winning, outside of that Schalke game, it has been so much about Cabochard on the top side of the lane, and just proves once again that putting those resources into him is well-deserved.
Yeah, and it proves that Vitality still know how to fight these mid-game team fights and still know how to then, after you build up advantage, play that split push game with Jizuke. He was so good with it in 2018 on picks like the Rise. He played the Echo back then as well.
Signature
yeah,
pick. We can
it
look
was
back to
so
Worlds.
good.
I mean, it's fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic coming in, and we saw he knew his damage pretty well when he leaped forward and one-shot the enemy AD carry. That was brutal. Of course, that's the product of, I think, a 6-level lead and probably 3 or 4K gold.
Yeah, like Rabadon's Death Cap, Lichbane, Protobelt. That's a Sork Shoes. A lot of damage on target with no MR.
Feels bad being an AD carry in that situation. Of course, in a Blitzcrank in that case really cannot save you, and it feels like when Splice got rolling, you're like, I can see it. I can see the path to victory. But the second that anything went wrong, the train kind of came off the tracks. Well, if you thought that Cabochard, Jizuke, or Attila had a solid performance, be sure to vote for them as key player of the game at LO Esports on Twitter is the place. And who do you give it to?
I think you got to give it to Jizuke. He had the one-shots. He never died in that entire game.
And he didn't get the crazy amount of jungle attention that Cabo did.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of like
he didn't need a babysitter to help win the game and pop off.
Well, it's a subtle flame, but we'll take it. All right, well, the LEC Spring Final is getting closer and closer with tickets for sale at eu.allesports.com/Rotterdam. Be sure to join us on the Rift the 13th and 14th of April. I, for one, am incredibly excited to go back to Rotterdam. It's going to be so cool. I wasn't there the first time, but I guess
me neither.
LEC going back, whatever. We're both excited to go. Regardless, we're going to learn more about Vitality's winning to do that. Let's check in with Quickshot and their mid laner.
Thank you very much. I'm joined by Jizuke. And Jizuke, just as you came off stage, you said to me, I'm just waiting to have the time to blow up an enemy carry. Dude, the game ended with you blowing up Kabe. What did it feel like at the end of the game, knowing that you were ahead and knowing you kind of steamrolled after a crazy early game?
I think everything went according to plan except the bot lane 2v2. And we knew from draft already that we would win the game. And pretty much, yeah.
I love it. Whenever I think of Echo, you're one of the Echo players that always comes to mind, especially when we look back to last year. Why today do you pull the Echo out? What was it that allowed you in the squad to play the champion?
Just Echo is really good against Zoe. I think it's a classic matchup, and it's a bit disrespectful by Splice picking Zoe like this, but it's fine. I get to play Echo and Smurf on it, so thank you, Splice.
Smurf on it. Let's talk about the early game because it looked a little crazy. It kind of felt like Splice maybe had a little bit of a shot for the first few kills and the first few plays. So what went wrong in terms of communication is something the casters may have felt allowed Splice to get some kills onto your team?
I think it was just, I didn't watch I was watching mid, but probably it's a misplay bot, and well, a dive went wrong on the T2 top. I don't know what happened there, how did they get there, but they died there as well. So I think it was overall maybe 2 mistakes, and then everything else was clean, and we just played the game as it was supposed to be, and yeah, we won.
Well, congratulations on the win. Last question before we get to an ad break. You guys are now in control of second place. Obviously, taking down Schalke last week and them losing today means you've got a 1-win lead on them. What are you going to do to maintain a top 2 placement, and that means a guaranteed trip to Rotterdam over the next 4 weeks?
Well, we are going for the rank one, so I don't want rank 2, I want rank 1. And we are looking forward to just improve every week until the G2 week and hope that we are consistent enough to take the win against them.
Well, I'm looking forward to congratulations again on the win today. We'll see you tomorrow. Right now, we're heading to an ad break, and when we come back, Spring Split continues.
GG.
Thank you.
Is Achachi just going to be an escape route for the Elise? And Jarvan is here. Just try it. But it's a low health bar for Mowgli. He's already used the escape, and they're going to immediately go in.
Bot lane
Hold
until
that
with the
thought.
flash.
Hook goes in. Nice pull forward. They are going to get the knockups. They immediately. Oh my God! And Mowgli now in trouble, has to go up. Comes right back down. Wants to get out of this play immediately. Cersei has stolen the ultimate. Is now going to fall on North Garen, throwing the hook over the wall. And Jizuke and the rest of the team now fighting here, trying to get something done. But no, the AD carry is going to watch out for his life. Jizuke is still getting it. Immediately snaps back with the ultimate. North Garen in no man's land, and he will go down.
Getting ready for the pick on the Kami. Will he go for it? He will.
The stun does not even going to be needed. But at the end of the day, Ender Vitality find the win.
We're powered up.
Get the Baron Buff Power Play with Shell V-Power.
Welcome back to the 2019 LEC Spring Split. Misfits currently sit at a 4-6 record. While starting off strong, they've lost a lot of their games recently, including a game versus Rogue. So, what exactly is going wrong? First, I wanted to take a look at how Misfits have been playing recently. Over the last 2 weeks, I wanted to compare two of the big carries with Hans Summer and Febiven. What you'll notice is that a lot of the jungle attention has been directed towards the mid lane. Even with all of this jungle attention, Febiven is not converting it into big carry performances with, while a high kill plus assist in the early game, you can see that his CSD is low, his goal difference at 15 is also low. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we see the duo of Hansam and Gorilla regularly given strong 2v2 lanes with the likes of Kalista and Lucian, yet little to no jungle attention goes down there. This 2v2 has clearly shown that they are not strong enough to build leads by themselves. You only have to look at their CSD and their kill plus assist, while looking positive initially over the last few weeks has not been very strong. This means that sometimes in lane it results in poor positioning and simple mistakes that often give away kills. Now, you may be thinking, well, why not just change things up? Why not just draft for scaling and play for team fighting? With players like Soaz and Febiven, late game team fights should be their bread and butter. Unfortunately, your issues then come from Maxlaw. This guy is an excellent early game jungler, but he struggles to act as an engaged tool or a strong team fighter later into the game. Here is just one of the many examples where Maxlaw acts as the initiation, but it doesn't go quite as planned. They've just secured a Baron buff, and rather than resetting the map, Maxlaw engages onto 5 when the rest of his team aren't in position and gets immediately collapsed upon, forcing his team into a dangerous fight and ultimately throwing away the Baron, putting Misfits at a deficit. The fact you can't rely on him to be this engaged ultimately hurts their team fighting later on. This means you have a team that has to play through their early game, and they have to do it through their bot lane. It sounds like a broken record because we say it every week, but if Misfits don't adopt this approach, soon they'll miss another opportunity at playoffs. Now, to talk a bit more about Misfits and their opponents, let's send it over to the Shock Squad.
Thank you so much, Verius. I think that was kind of a nice dive into what could possibly be going wrong for Misfits. Obviously, it's very hard to pinpoint what it is. Maxlor was mentioned, Synergy as a whole. Frosk, how do you see it?
To me, it's almost about the emotional volatility of this team. I know that a couple of key members have been known to tilt, and it was kind of this question of, if you put all of this into one concoction, do you get an explosion, either with momentum or kind of the opposite way? And right now, I feel like we're stuck in a rut, which is why I really like that they're changing it up in the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Of course, Hussein Mousvi has come in this time around for Justice as the head coach and also the guy that will be here with the team. So we'll see if that helps them today. They will need it because they are up versus SK Gaming, and that is a team that is on the rise. They're coming off of their first 2-0 week in the Spring Split. They are at 5-5. They are looking like they want to take that playoff spot, and they want to take it as soon as possible. Aranea, you who are very, very familiar with a lot of the members of this team, what do you think about how they've been playing so far, and how far should they aim?
I think they're playing phenomenal. Like, I've been coaching 3 of them, World Leap, Selfmade, and Crownshot, and they are on a really good level right now, especially Selfmade. Selfmade is made the carry of the team. Selfmade is made one of the best junglers right now in Europe, and probably the best jungler in early game. Almost always converting every single gank he does in early game. The one I think he has to step up a bit more is World Leap, that he's not playing as good as at least he was playing with me in the past.
When it comes to this matchup, I'm hearing a lot of positive. SK is on a roll. Misfits is not doing very well. How will Misfits win this, and how would SK win this? What are the two scenarios?
I mean, I think it always goes down to bot lane for Misfits and jungle for SK, but the reality is this match is so important because SK, chances are they're going to kill either Fnatic or Misfits to take the last playoff spot.
Yeah. I would like to agree with the bot lane, especially from SK, because every single time SK lost is when Crownshot is really behind. So actually, if you put all your efforts on Misfits bot lane and they can carry there, it's somehow a way that SK can just get demolished from bot lane.
Yeah, that is probably the only possibility that is there, but we have to take into account the confidence factor, the confidence that Selfmade and that squad have right now. Coming off of a 2-0 week last week, this time around, they are looking towards Misfits and they are rolling hot. coming into week 6, looking to continue their winning streak against that Misfits. Take it away, Dracoth.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Interesting to see how quickly the expectations for this league have changed over the last 5 weeks. SK coming in as an underdog, beating Fnatic. We thought, ooh, maybe it doesn't mean much, but they keep finding these wins. They keep taking down these expected top teams. Now they go up against Misfits, an expected top team that has fallen themselves.
Misfits, they are in a tough spot right now, Dracos, and that's why they're bringing in the Moose. They need a strong voice, a strong leader to turn over a new page for this team, because it has not looked good the last few weeks. And we come into this draft knowing the Moose is going to bring change, and the question is, will it be enough to get Misfits back in the playoff picture?
It is a big question, and it's a big challenge, and the pressure just continues to mount. So once again, just to echo the sentiments of the desk, good to see this change. But change is only there for pick and ban. That voice of reason can give them a plan, but at the end of the day, these 5 players still have to execute. So a lot of pressure remains on the Misfits' shoulders. And on the opposite side, I think for SK, hard to know exactly how they're feeling. A lot of happy interviews recently, you know, happy with their own success, improvement since Broken Shard has stepped up as the coach. But I wonder how they're taking this one. If they are going, this is the game that we have to win, this is the game that we have to smash Misfits, and what kind of approach they're going to take.
Yeah, I mean, this is an important one for SK, because right now they are that playoff borderline team. And Misfits, another one of those borderline squads coming in today. SK winning this game puts them in a clear position for that 6th place. And of course, if they want to start putting themselves in the conversation for top 4, top 3, that's how they got to do it. They got to keep winning these should be easy games.
Now, as a reminder, as we head in the draft, SK, of course, on the blue side, Misfits on the red. You guys can see that yourselves. Misfits winning here ties them up with SK Gaming on the opposite end. SK winning ties them up with Splice, who lost just minutes ago. So, as you said, big stakes, big implications on the standings. But already seeing the Draven banned away, the Elise early game, not something that SK Gaming want to see on the opposite side. The power pick of Karthus already taken away from Misfits. The Urgot going to follow.
The Elise one especially interesting to me here, because Maxlor has yet to play that champion so far this split. SK Gaming obviously knowing some things that he's been working on in preparation for this match, and for Selfmade, such a key member of this SKT. It is about securing him a strong jungle matchup. They will go for a pick for him early in the draft, get him something that can take it to Maxlor and the rest of Misfits Gaming early on into this game.
We are going to see the Lucian, though, locked in for Crown Shot. Of course, the other really top-tier AD carry among Draven, or at least priority ban AD carry left up and available. Maybe Hansama tries his hand on the Ezreal. Not something we see quite as much from him. He much more prefers the Dravens and the Lucians. He's more aggressive lane carriers. But the Cassio is, of course, up and available. Has been hit pretty hard across a number of patches, but still considered an incredibly strong pick overall.
And incredibly strong flex pick as well. Misfits coming in here with the Moose behind them, not trying to reveal too much at the moment, other than they've got really nice engage. They've got good damage from their backline already. The question is, where are these champions going to be going?
And that's the question that SK have to be asking themselves. The double flex pick coming in here early on for Misfits. Can put it in mid lane in the hands of Fevin, can put it bot lane in the hands of Hansama. Same goes for the Jarvan, Maxlor, or Soaz. Even Gorilla could pick it up if they want to get creative. But the Syndra locked in here. Relatively safe, it feels like in most matchups.
Yeah, I think this is actually a really smart pick here from SK. You know, the Syndra can sort of outrange the Cassiopeia with some of her orbs. It's also just a safe pick in case the Cassio does go somewhere other than that mid lane. Syndra can sort of absorb a lot of pressure in the mid lane, can have a lot of solid matchups. But already, that bottom lane looking really juicy for the side of SK. Lucian plus Braum is a deadly combo. Once you can build up advantage in this lane, it's really hard to combat them in the 2v2.
Oh, really exciting, but we may already see the Cassio flex pick revealed if the Ezreal does get locked in here. But I love the Lucian Braum enter because we've seen Dreams be huge when SK have been finding these wins recently. Selfmade, obviously still the guy you keep your eyes on, but Dreams a close second, and him setting up Crown Shot is always something that's exciting to see. But now the Galio coming in as well. 3 flex picks, Ender, if you follow the LCK. That could just go into the support position.
Yeah, and I think it honestly might here. Of course, Fabivin on the Galio, good pick for him as well. But right now, Misfits have so many different options depending on how they want to go for this. Because one of the strengths of Galio is that you can just use that Q to sort of clear the wave and build an advantage in the push, which can sort of nullify the power of the Lucian Braum 2 versus 2.
But the question for me really is everyone on this Misfits lineup ready to play these flex picks? Are any of these bluffs? Are any of these picks not comfortable in certain lanes? Is everyone actually ready to go through? Because flex pick addiction is a real thing for professional teams. Some people just get too excited, pick too many flexes, and end up with weird drafts. Looking at you, Excel.
Yeah, that was an interesting one earlier today, Dracos. And what I actually find peculiar is the fact that we haven't seen Misfits before this week really going heavy on the flex picks. It's been pretty standard with, you know, Ryze, Lissandra in the mid lane, obvious top lane champions like the Scion. So Misfits Gaming are coming in with a new plan, and Moose is going to be heading that plan. Now, we've seen 2 jungle bans already here from Misfits, and I wonder if they wanted to put the Jarvan in the top lane. They'd probably wait to see what matchup they get, but they could just go for another jungler right here and try to limit that pool, pinch it down even harder to stop Selfmade from having a strong champion to impact the game.
Oh. Ooh. I like that one. Aurelia now locked in. Feels like the Cassio is now set to go into the bottom lane with the Aurelia going mid, and it looks like we will have a Galio support as well. All of that, of course, TBD, Ender. We have to wait. We have to find out. But I do see a pretty powerful Wombo combo being built on the side of Misfits Gaming.
Yeah, I actually don't really care where these champions go. All I know is that their AoE is absolutely absurd. You have very strong dive combination in the Jarvan as well as the Galio with an Aurelia to come and ride right on top of the back of that engage. It's going to make it really hard, I think, for SK to try and impact the Cassio Pia in the back lines during these fights.
Now the Aatrox locked in as well, though. Looks like that one most likely headed into the top lane or the jungle, short of something too creative with the Syndra. So we'll see where it goes. The final pick will come through from SK, will reveal their hand, and we'll give Misfits a last bit of information as they look for that last pick. Vladimir now locked in, going to the hands of Warlib in the top lane with the jungle Aatrox coming out for Selfmade.
Yeah, this actually is really interesting because if you look at sort of Aurelia and where she fits in, you expect her to go either into the mid lane or the top lane. And one of the big changes with her was that her W doesn't block magic damage anymore. That means she can't stop the burst from a Syndra. It means she's not going to be super effective with that spell in the 1v1 against the Vladimir. Not to mention, playing against a ranged champion is going to be very hard. So I think they're going to move it into the mid lane. It's going to be Cassiopeia bot lane for Hansama alongside Galio, of course, subject to change, but that's what I think we're going to be seeing here because Maxlore on his Sejuani is just saying, we are going to team fight you. Everyone in SK, you have to take cleanse, otherwise we're just going to dive on you over and over and get so many kills.
I love Peering with the cleanse, Crown Shot with the cleanse. You cannot take enough. Dreams is like, should I take a cleanse too? They're like, no, please take Ignite, sir. Might need some kill pressure here. And once again, it's very similar to last game that we have 2 very explosive compositions outside of course, the Vladimir on the top side. We don't talk about him for the first, like, 8, 9 levels.
But then he gets real explosive.
Then he gets real explosive, Ender. It's what we like to see. Now, a lot of engage, I think we have a lot of team fighting picks here, but Ender, you talked about Misfits. They're all about the team fight. What is SK Gaming's counterplay here? What does SK Gaming want to do?
SK Gaming is sort of a whole bundle of different things because you look at them, they do not have a very strong front line. I think they need to be coming off of a strong laning performance from this Lucian Braum, expecting Aatrox to sort of get them through the laning phase and try to make a 2 versus 2 happen in the bottom side. But honestly, I look at this and I think Misfits won out massively in the draft.
Of course, going to be crucial. We talked about the influence of the Moose, and winning a draft, I think, is the strongest influence that a coach can have before he heads into games, short of one of those Yamato Cannon classic inspirational speeches. For Misfits fans, they're hoping he gave one of those as well, as this is, once again, a very high-stakes match. The battle for playoffs incredibly close between these 4 to 6 teams. Teams ranged, 4th place to 6th place. SK and Misfits battling for that spot right now. Win for Misfits will tie them up. Win for SK will tie them with Splice. Start to test some of those spots. I love Flexius too. He showed up hard in this draft, I think we can safely say.
Oh yeah, I mean, Misfits are you know, they're a part of the Flexius religion. Here. They're just
it's a faith now.
Yeah, I mean, 5 different champions that can flex. Even the Sejuani could theoretically go top.
We've gone past Colt. We are now full on the Flexius faithful. All right, Ender.
Are you Flexius faithful? No?
I mean, I'll find out. This game.
That man's jacked.
This game.
Wouldn't say that to him at LAN.
Okay.
All right, give me the game.
The Moose is back, folks. This is going to be important. You see his win record, 69-68. Playoffs 3-4 Worlds, of course. Been there once. Almost beat SKT. Now they have to beat SK. Very different pace, but still a very threatening opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at Misfits, the Moose's Misfits, of course, you think 2018 when they went undefeated for so long in that summer split, and they had such a clear game plan, playing around the bottom lane. And I think that's what a lot of fans would expect coming into this. Now, he brings the voice, he says, Maxlor, let's play for that bottom side of the map. But honestly, I'm looking at this, and he has so many different options for where he wants to play. It really does come down to where he thinks he has the best 2 versus 2. And I think around that mid lane, especially after the level 6 mark, is going to be a massive point for Maxlor to try to exploit.
So maybe we see a little bit more of a passive early game. Of course, Sejuani can get some of those cheeky ganks off, but not always the most proactive jungler early on. And you talked about SK kind of needing a tanky front line, and the good news is that Selfmade does have the Aftershock, so you do get a little bit of that beefy boy.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be beefy. He also gets to pick himself back up with the ultimate. And you have a Vladimir, too, who's going to be trying to dive in and get massive burst down that can sort of buy time with his pool. But it's definitely not a solid front line that you want to sort of protect in AD carry. And I think SK are going to make up for that with the fact that they're running the Lucian, who traditionally isn't as good as those front-to-back team fights, but will be stellar in these sort of scrappy engagements in the mid game.
And I think it's good that you bring up bot lane, because I think we need to talk about Hansama, right? We're seeing the Cassio now come in, and this is a guy who's had very polarizing performances. He looks so good when Misfits are winning, but when Misfits are losing, he feels like a really big part of a lot of those losses, and now showing up with the Cassio, maybe the taunt connect, that is the double. A little bit of damage does go down on the trade there. We have to wonder, is this a pick that he can perform on?
And that's an excellent question, because if you remember 2018 Misfits, Hansama, he just played the AD carries. He had no interest in these bottom lane mages, and right now Selfmade is on a ward, but went for the fast level 3 path. Unfortunately, won't be able to make a play happen around this bottom side, and that's going to make Hansama and Gorilla be able to play very far forward, knowing that Selfmade, his attempt has failed, and now he has to go back towards top.
And one of the rare times that we see Selfmade not playing around the top lane here, obviously Warlord pretty set up for success on his own at this stage of the game. Surprisingly so, as has been pushed in. Of course, a lot more wave clear in the hands of Vlad, and difficult to land the flag and drag combo onto a character like the Vladimir.
Yeah, I honestly am a bit surprised to see the grasp here from the Jarvan. What I have seen in the past has been some airy for the extra poke, but he's taken a very excellent trade here against Warlib, so not feeling too bad about that grasp.
Not at all. Imperium, of course, has a little bit of mid lane pressure, but quickly the top lane turned around there, and Soaz does commit to that kind of all-in play. Phase Rush keeps Warlib safe, but not able to use, looks like, the Crimson Rush to get some health back. So Soaz sitting pretty comfortable. Has 2 stacks left of the Corrupting Pot as well.
Yeah, you can see 3 Corrupting Potions on the side of Misfits. The benefit of putting that Cassiopeia in the bottom lane means a lot of sustain for them here in the early laning phase. So as we'll be able to soak up a bit of the poke, Hansama will be able to burst through his mana bar and take very aggressive spell trades here to try and chunk down Crown Shot, because we know he can use that teleport to come back to lane, whether it's with a tier a little bit earlier to start scaling up and give him some protection, or what I like a little bit more, and that's going to be the Luden's Echo for the extra burst damage and poke off of the Q-spam.
Well, if we know Hansama's trademark aggressive playstyle, I think we can safely expect a Luden's, although we'll see what he opts to go for this game. Cassio new, maybe we see a new Hansama as well. Enter the bot lane is exciting, but I do also want to talk a little bit about this jungle matchup. Now, Maxlor playing Sejuani, this is something I'm used to. This is something that everyone has seen before, but the Aatrox isn't something we see as much of. Now, for Selfmade, I expect ganks in the early game. Does Aatrox really support that kind of playstyle?
No, honestly, Aatrox, unless he has lanes with really good CC setup for ganks, isn't going to be super effective. So, you know, top lane, not going to happen. Mid lane, maybe, but against the Aurelia could be a little bit more difficult. What he is going to be looking to do, I feel, is match Maxlor's ganks, go for counters, because that's where he can be stronger than that Sejuani, is if he can sort of show up at the same time she does after she's committed and look for the fights. But in terms of actual proactive play, just him on his own, probably won't be seeing too much of that on this pick.
And you can see Selfmade, of course, 5 out of 5 for player of the games. No doubt that this guy is the MVP of this lineup, the sole source of a lot of their early game advantages throughout their games, especially throughout their wins. And you know, I think it's a tough burden to be Selfmade on this team, knowing a lot of expectations, but not in a great position to counter gank at this stage. Maxlor has not been spotted. Hansama, though, throwing down the miasma, feels like it might give it away, but no, backing off. Gorilla, is he going to go for the flash to extend the taunt? It's just going to settle for the Braum. They're now moving in. They want to lock this guy down, but can't find it. We'll get the flash from Dreams in the end, though. Well played.
Yeah, I liked the patience there from Dreams, because it looked like for a second he might have been able to get out of there without the flash, but if that second tick of the flail had hit him, Max would have been able to stun him. So SK will have to back away out of this lane, and that's going to put Hansama and Gorilla in a great spot, because what they can do right now is Hansama, I believe he's trying to push out this wave and then look for a reset. Actually, if you look at this, there are 4 ranged minions on the side of SK, and the cannon minion on Misfit's side just died, so Hansama isn't pushing. He's letting the wave sort of push into him. It's denying a lot of CS here from SK, and because he has TP, he can wait until they come back to lane and then return.
Oh, I'm playing against that Cassio. If she can stand on the front side of that creep wave, is going to be so incredibly difficult. Misfit's kind of setting up for a more all-in engage. Selfmade now making his presence known on the top side of the map. Sees the ward debris there, but not concerned. Before he got there, Soaz going to do his best to clear this one out.
Right now, Selfmade is making a play towards this red buff on the side of Misfits. I was getting a little concerned here because it is a risky maneuver, but he's going to come behind Febiven. Febiven playing very safe, but if he dashes forward for the last hit, he will not. He misses the last hit for it, but he does not risk losing a flash or his life.
Uses the Floss to try to pick that up. Selfmade not able to find an impact quite yet. Of course, level 6 may give him a few more avenues to get in the lane, but not nearly as many as the Sejuani. So have to keep your eyes out for that. For now, Crown Shot forced to try to push this wave in, but Gorilla threatening, and the TP coming back from Hansama as he does pick up the Lost Chapter Ender.
Lost Chapter as well as the Fairy Charm too. So this is something we see a lot now on many different champions. They go for the Lost Chapter because frankly it sells back for a lot. I think it sells back for about
Fairy
80.
Charm, rather than
the Fairy Charm, of course. It spells back for about 80 of the 125 it costs you. So it's effectively spending 1 potion to get extra mana sustain in the lane. And for Cassiopeia, who wants to be spamming out her spells pretty consistently to try and get a lane advantage, it's going to be a very good pickup for her to keep her topped off up until her teleport returns and she can go back to base once more.
Getting those nice backs from TP, of course, so good. Of course, won't have the combat summoner, but may not need it. A lot of immediate damage comes in from Hansama. Guardian used to block some of that, but Hansama already looking to deal a lot to this Lucian. Good news is he has the Vamp Scepter. He does have a little bit of sustain, but Cassio does have the innate sustain built into her kit, and now with level 6 as well, things are going to get much more difficult because Maxlor has it, Febiven has it, and this is where this explosive comp from the side of Misfits can start to take off.
Yeah, it's interesting too because usually we see when a team wants to make a play around mid lane, especially one with Cleanse, they gank before level 6 to try and burn that Summoner spell, but now 3 members of SK in the area.
Looking for a little bit of initial damage. The Vladimir's coming in on the backside. They are just going to have to back away though. And it felt like when they saw Febiven dash forward, they thought he was going to get aggressive and goes for the play, but he sees Selfmade, he backs off. And Misfits playing with a lot of patience here.
And now it's actually really hard for SK to sort of make plays in the middle lane, especially because of the support Galio. All he has to do is walk up the river just a little bit, and he will offer that extra member if any engagements were to break out. So it lets Febiven play a little more aggressively around this mid lane, especially because Soaz is applying pressure, and all of Misfits now are sort of zoning SK away from the neutral position in the lane and trying to set them underneath their tower.
It's a terrifying spot to be in because while the Aatrox and the Braum maybe can survive a lot of the upfront damage here coming in if Misfits are willing to commit ultimates, Crown Shot definitely cannot. Crown Shot will just get immediately deleted if any piece of CC does connect. And Max are going to find that CC in the mid lane. The immediate cleanse flash out and 2 sums taken away from Pyrion.
That's brilliant there for Maxlor. That actually opens up a ton because not only does it mean Maxlor, you know, in a minute and a half when his ultimate comes back up again, he can look for a gank mid lane, but that means Pyrion has to play so far back in the lane because Aurelia is one of those champions that doesn't need a jungler to find a solo kill. All she has to do is take 1 or 2 good trades against you, and then she has the ability to sort of burst you out and look for a solo kill, especially on an immobile target like the Syndra.
And I love this from Febiven if you caught that at home. He bought the Phage, very expensive kind of lane item, immediately sells it for the T-Mat. Decides, I'm pushing these waves, you don't have flash, and neither does Whirlib now on the back end of that play. Soaz with the confidence there to just commit fully to the Cataclysm, stops the pool from getting out, cannot go under that piece of terrain.
Yeah, and Soaz is loving the trades up topside. He went for the first item, Executioner's Culling, to get the sustained denial here on towards Whirlib. Of course, his wave is pushing away from him now, so he's going to look for a reset and not risk falling to one of those classic top lane self-made ganks. It's a lot more tempered here out of both of these teams, and I think it's sort of a side effect of the composition from Misfits, and Misfits actually just knowing, hey, we don't want to risk it against self-made and overextend.
And I like the itemization continuing to come out from the Jarvan with the Hex Drinker against both the Syndra and the Vladimir, mitigating so much of the potential magic damage coming in. And right now, Misfits really do feel like they are in control of the game. It's a very small gold lead, but they have push pressure on the top side as Vladimir tries to freeze the wave. Febiven very comfortable mid with the Tiamat, and Soaz doing very well in the 1v1 matchup.
So let's talk Moose, Dracos.
Okay.
Let's talk Moose, because
the man or the animal?
Why not both? Okay. Really the man, though. And specifically coming into this, I think, you know, Misfits a lot of times drafted aggressive bottom lanes, and then they played for other areas of the map. But right now, there's such good vision control around the bottom lane that it allows Hansama and Gorilla to play aggressively, and for Misfits to make this play over towards the Herald. Selfmade and Pyrion do know what's going on, and they're going to look to stop it.
Scout of the week. He's going to come out with the stun is not going back now, trying to commit on the fence, but the ult comes out, he goes right back on Fury, and he makes it too easy! Dip, duck, and dive with that blade surge. Selfmade gonna run for his life. They're gonna proc the ultimate. No! It times out perfectly. Febiven just has to be laughing all the way to the bank with that one.
And Misfits just take complete control right there. They had Soaz walking down first, and there were no summoner spells onto Pyrion. Once the initial stun failed from Pyrion, Selfmade went too far forward. It was a huge misplay from them, and Misfits were able to turn around for an excellent kill there onto Febiven.
And for the first time in a long time, Ender, I feel like SK are a little lost in this early game. Like, they cannot find an avenue in, and I have to wonder if Aatrox was the right choice for Selfmade in the jungle.
Well, you have to remember the amount of jungle attention that Misfits sent his way, right? Because there were double jungle bans in the second rotation, Jarvan was already picked, and then the Sejuani comes through, so there's really just not that many options for Selfmade to sort of pick up for himself. He wanted to grab the Aatrox to sort of nullify a lot of things that could happen here from this Misfits comp, but you know, when it gets into these engagements, if you're not landing the skill shots, it's just not going to work.
You have to hold that thought because the all-in's coming in from Warlip. He throws down a little bit of damage, so tries to turn. Just threatens with the Dragon Strike, but nothing's going to happen there.
He's chilling.
He's chilling. Now Hansama taking a lot of damage. Crown Shot, though, pretty fearless as he steps forward, and now I do feel like as we get further into the game that we have to put a little bit more attention to the bottom side of the map for SK, because things are not looking so great in the mid lane. Febiven, though, if he gets too aggressive here, can't get countered out. Faked. I'm pretty sure Febiven didn't see him, and now wants to try to commit here. Selfmade ready to go over the wall. Does not get it, though. Febiven with the patience here to save that dash to get out.
Yeah, and it's actually so huge that Aatrox lost a second E-charge, because it's so much harder now to actually make those plays work. Because before, you could sort of get 2 of your Qs to basically guarantee land, because you can time the dash to make it almost impossible to juke away from. And now he uses the first one. In that situation, he can't chase with another. And in a lot of these trades we're going to see happen eventually once we start getting into some skirmishes and some fights, well, he's just not going to be able to do the same damage he was before.
Dream's going for the aggressive engage, though. Selfmade now on the bottom side. Hansama pulling back, has a lot of time here. Dream stunned up, is going to use the stopwatch. Maxwell coming in, throws out the ultimate, not quite going to connect. Dream's now on the retreat. Warlip here as well. Nobody goes down. Selfmade, though, and the rest of the SK lineup pushing forward. They don't have a creep wave here to get anything else. Soaz will be the lone man to remain as Maxwell and the rest of the squad back off.
And Hansama has the teleport, so he's going to return down into this bottom lane. SK may be going for a little bit too much as they start up the Mountain Drake. They will call their way off of that objective, and Misfits are able to trade teleports between both top laners, stop the gank from working out, and get a summoner spell for their trouble.
Now, admittedly, they did get Hansama's flash. Crown Shot still has his. Dreams burned his as well, but Hansama could find himself in a difficult spot here. Dreams now running. Overstaying is welcome. Crown Shot trying to fire some damage back. So is potentially in trouble with the solution. Gets to keep free hitting, but the Galio threatening with the taunt. They cannot go in any further. Dreams will go down. Febiven now on the backside. Keep your eyes on that Aurelia ultimate. This could be disastrous. Knockback. Beautiful play for Pyrion to get them out of this. The knockup as well to deny this engage. Now SK can go for the turn. Immediately they fire back. A clean disengage right into the re-engage means SK will get the kill back.
And it's a look on the confusion on the face of the Moose right there. Misfits had the kill onto Dreams and then funneled themselves into this tight corridor against the Aatrox, against the Vladimir, against the Syndra, and it was just not a fight they could win without those ultimates being layered on top of each other.
Hansama and Soaz will continue to get the pressure, and you know, at the end of the day, still just a 1-for-1 trade. SK doing what they can to get it back, but that was very close to disaster for SK. If they did not find the multiple CCs to stop the Galio from getting to their backline, if they did not find the Scout of the Week to stop the Sejuani stun from connecting, that could have been 3 or 4 dead members.
Yeah, and we'll have to sort of rewind all the way back here to Dreams walking into the face of Soaz and Hansama. He actually doesn't get knocked up. It was some clever footwork there that allowed him to survive as long as he did. But because he was able to stay up for so long, Warlib and Pyrion made their way down here. They're trying to find the collapse, but they realize it's a 4v5. It's probably not good. Let's kite back. But then 4 people stand on top of each other. There's a massive Q from Selfmade into the damage from Warlib, and it's a good trade kill back onto Gorilla.
And it does show a little bit of what this SK composition could do if you do group up. The AoE damage from the Cinder, the Vladimir, and the Aatrox if they're given the opportunity. But now he's going to commit to the play. Febiven could be in trouble here. We'll have to reset dash on a Purian, but no, denied there a little bit. Febiven now running for his life. Maxlor's here. Dreams. Can he fish for it? Can he find the Winter's Bite? They're just going to retreat. They do get the stopwatch out from Purian, though. Small win for them. So as the Jarvan doesn't have enough AD, but does have a big level advantage at this point.
As you'd expect of the top laner, man. I mean, Febiven is really trying to carry this game. He's trying to make absolute use of this Aurelia pick, and it's interesting too, because Aurelia was nerfed. I think a lot of the nerfs did hit her in the mid lane, but it's still enough to make plays. Now, so as 3 members of SK in the area, Gorilla is coming up to try and defend, and without a wave there, SK are going to have to back away.
Now, Febiven, though, a little bit on the back foot here, as Vladimir will get some free time onto that tower. Max are going to take this as an opportunity to start the Dragon. The call is split. Can't decide if they want to gank Warlord or they want to focus on the Drake. Drake will be the choice in the end. Warlord will be spotted out here on the ward. Will take a bit of time, but this is a very slow solo Dragon take from Maxlord. Yeah, I don't think a lot's going to happen here. 2 top laners, or top laner, mid laner, now farming it out, Ender. And we check back in across the map. Right now it is a 2K gold lead in the favor of Misfits. Maxlord will eventually take down the Mountain Drake. Thank you. Thank you, Febiven, for showing up to make that take at least 8 seconds less than it needed to.
Now sort of looking at what SK are trying to accomplish, because they are down about 2,500 gold at the moment. I want to see them start grouping up, and that's what they're doing right now. They're trying to take control over the jungle and set up to eventually knock down this turret up on the top side of the map. They just need to get some gold back in their pockets before they really want to take another team fight again. Unfortunately, Galio plus the Cassiopeia is just so good at instantly obliterating the waves. And that's one of the strengths of Galio's support, because it is a little unconventional. It's really rare to have a support that does that much damage to the wave.
Hold on, so as play now could be in trouble. Max are trying to find the re-engage, but Selfmade is here. Febiven now leaping in. He's going to find the stun onto 1. He knows that there's no stopwatch available. He's going to grab 1. The Aurelia is still very healthy. Now trying to fire back as the Galio's on the way. And Febiven's still alive. He's already parked the passive. That's the double. He wants the triple. He's thirsty for it, but he's not going to go back in. Crown shot disengaging with the Coling, but still great start. Oh, he's still going to get it. They've split up. They want to follow up here. He wants to go over the wall. He flashes over, but that's right. No, Lucian. Ground shot with the hero play. Selfmade now running. Dashes over the wall. No. Twin Fang. But it's 2 for a crown shot firing back. An instant bloodbath as Warlord looks to take the tower on the bottom side.
Oh man, fantastic play out of Crowny right there. Great stuff from him, dodging over the wall, keeping Selfmade alive for long enough to get the kill onto Febiven. Really good stuff from him to trade in a really bad situation. Misfits had complete control over that fight. It was just that Lucian finding single targets, not being pressured out, that was able to get a couple of kills.
And just really, when you look at that, a very messy fight in the end, and obviously you can see how strong Aurelia is. Looks like the nerfs not going to shut her down completely when she has that. Still has a strong laning phase, still has a lot of good tools here, and as we look back on this one, just interesting to see how back and forth this was in the end.
Yeah, well, right off the bat, Soaz just goes so deep, but he knows it's going to be a 3v3 right here. And once he goes down, he knows Purian gets stunned up right there by Maxlor. And then there's not much damage to go down onto the Aurelia. The knock-up as well to keep Febiven alive. And then Febiven goes around the corner here. There's no tower to stop him from walking in. Misses the stun, but then Maxlor really does set up nicely for him. Unfortunately, he's mid-auto animation when he gets knocked down by Crown Shot. Crown Shot sees a 0-mana Sejuani who already blew her gap closer as an easy pickup on the backside.
And well played by Crown Shot to pick this up. Once again, when Selfmade was stepping up, as SK started to find these wins more and more, Crown Shot and Dreams have been stepping up as well. And Crown Shot, of course, week 5, 3.0 KDA, small CS advantage, but you can see hefty % of the team's damage here and the kill participation for an 80 carries. This guy is a pretty key component for the SK lineup.
He's a huge component for the SK lineup. He is seriously the one dealing the damage for the team in
Oh no, Purian. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a big enough component for this play. The cleanse does come out. Purian trying desperately to sidestep. Sadly, Aurelia Q is a point and click. Now Febiven is setting up for the follow-up fight. The TP is now coming in. Purian still alive. The hero escape now comes out. Then Gorilla going to try to follow up with the top. But Vladimir's moving into the middle of the entire team. Who's going to take this one out in the end? Purian still dealing damage on the backside. Still fishing for Maxlord. Still desperate to get something back, but Misfits are coming out on top. The Resurrect comes in for Selfmade. Warlib throws down a bit of damage, but it's a long, slow goodbye. Misfits take the fight.
Misfits and Hansama untouched during that one, dishing out the damage. Now they're trying to sustain up. Hansama does have TP. He needs the mana to come into this Baron and then take it down. They already have the Mountain Drake, so a 20-minute Baron is going to be secured by the Misfits.
SK do what they can to try to find an advantage in that fight. You have maybe a bit of optimism after you see Pyrian survive, but just not enough. And Cassio, you mentioned it before, and we talk about it every time this champion is picked. She destroys Baron, just obliterates that health bar. And now, taking a little bit of time. They're waiting for their teammate to respawn just so they can donate that Baron over. That's why Cassio wasn't hitting it. I'm glad I wasn't like, what is he doing? I was ready. I was ready to criticize.
You got it, Dracos. You got it. It was smart play there from Misfits and a really good engage here onto Pyrian. Pyrian actually went for a very early Zonius. He didn't even finish his lost chapter item, so he's able to survive initially in this fight. But there's where the teleport comes in from Soaz. He's able to dunk on top of the Gorilla and taunt. And then it's just like, what do you do? Pyrian's out of the fight. Your Lucian is already dead. So Misfits are able to run completely over SK, no matter how long they tried to survive.
Ender, I have a quick list for you.
Yep.
Champions who want to fight in that giant mess. Jarvan, Aurelia, Sejuani, heck, Cassio. Opposite side, we got a Vlad. We have an Aatrox. Even Syndra's happy to throw a little bit of damage. Crownshot is not the man that wants to jump into that mess. The last fight he was, and this is the thing that's scary. We talked about Crownshot being crucial. That's very true, but we've also seen two different kinds of Crownshot. We've seen Crownshot carrying, and we've seen Crownshot getting caught. It's not going to be Crownshot getting caught this time. It will be Dreams firing back with a Culling, now getting good damage onto Feven, but Dreams will die. Ulti comes out, not enough to kill the Aurelia. The fall from Somebody's now going to chase down and try to find a kill. Selfmade desperately wants to get something back, but once again, the Zhonya's up and available. Pyrian fires back a little bit of damage, and Gorilla's going to grab that one. Resurrection coming in, Gorilla using the ultimate as well. Meanwhile, the Vladimir's trapped bot line. Self-made! Does not get stunned up. Misfits are going to settle for this tier 2 tower. So close here overall, but Misfits winning out on the skirmishes yet again. Enter 7k gold lead, and it's only going to continue to grow as Soaz takes this bottom tier 1.
I mean, how do you actually win a fight against this Misfit squad grouped up? It doesn't seem possible. They have all these champions just want to dive on top of your backline, and quite frankly, Pyrian isn't strong enough to cut through anyone. Vladimir still needs more time, and Lucian is so low range that it's really hard for him to do anything but dash away and try to get a few chip shots before he gets bursted down by the Aurelia jumping onto his face.
I thought the nerf back came in hard enough, Ender. I thought we'd never have to look at another Aurelia jump on someone's face. But nope, here we are. Febiven popping off 5, 2, and 5 on this champion. And it's been such an aggressive game. This man's not even hitting 10 CS a minute. He's focused on the champion end of the kills.
Yeah, and sitting on top of the control ward as well. They can't see it happening. They jump over the wall on towards Dreams, and it is a drawn-out initial engage, but that's the ultimate right there from Hansama and Febiven to CC Pyrian to leave that mark on top of Crownshot so that Gorilla can jump on board, but Bivin can look for the resets here on towards Selfmade. He just barely gets out by the skin of his teeth, but they lose the tower in the mid lane. They lose the Infernal Drake on the back half of that, and Misfits set themselves up with a 7,000 gold lead and are looking to take complete control over the rest of the map.
Now with the Baron, they can set up to break down some of these tier 2s, and you can see they're not really splitting up across lanes. They're content to group up, as you mentioned, so strong in these team fights, especially when you've got this kind of massive gold lead, when you have the Infernal Drake and the Baron buff as well. And Ender, we're seeing very good improvement from Misfits in terms of team fight and coordination. Maxwell now goes into Pyrian, the cleanse immediately comes out, but ulti traded for Summoner here. Not having that one, though, could be important. Maybe it'll let SK defend this tier 2.
Gotta be hard, though, to actually clear these waves. Pyrian's just trying to send some zoning shots away to clear the wave and stop anyone from walking up to hit the tower. But Soaz is in the mid lane. He actually
just
EQs
goes for the
in.
flag and
he doesn't
drag.
even care.
Now needs to be careful, though. He's just going to try to buy a bit of time, uses the slow. Crownshot going for the chase. So it just dashes away, and it does mean that on the top side, the rest of the Misfits can't break down this tier 2. Demolish Proc's going to come through. Huge chunk of damage, and that will be the tier 2 on the top side taken out.
Yep, there's only one more tier 2 on the map, and it's in the bottom lane. And guess what? Soaz is already over there. He actually started clearing some of the minions between the two towers that were still standing to try and get the push going on the other side of the map. So there's only one range creep left. That's all he left to send back to meet up with the rest of his friends, but his friends are going to die too because all the other minions are killing those friends.
We're going to name him Ron, and he's going to try. Oh, God, Ron!
There was a second there where I saw just one sliver HP, and I'm like, maybe he can do it. Maybe against all odds.
I thought maybe we're going to get like that risk moment where one guy takes down like 30 dudes, and you're like, this is the worst game of all time, but no, it's League of Legends. The minion just dies.
Yeah,
Sad.
no RNG with minions right there,
Turns
really.
out. Maybe, you never know. Bugs are crazy. Maybe that was the one moment. We had to watch it, folks. But Soaz setting up what he believes to be the perfect kill trap, but unbeknownst to him about 2.5 minutes ago, someone put a ward there. Will now get spotted out. as the Scryer's Bloom comes through, and so is very comfortable on the bottom side now with the Mob Malmortius in addition to the Executioner's Call.
And now the problem for SK is not only have they lost a lot, but Pyrian's gonna get killed.
Oh, Pyrian goes golden, but there's really no way out of this one. They're just holding on to it. He dies. Gorilla's gonna grab the kill.
So SK need to go into disaster recovery, and right now that's going to start off with Selfmade trying to take a great trade against Gorilla. It's a lot of damage, but Hansama's in the wings.
James is here. Ooh, calling just shy. Tickles him. And really, Misfits, sadly, I don't think have enough ways to pressure turrets outside of splitting. Luckily, Soaz is already doing that, but they don't have a lot of long-range champions to actually threaten these inhibitor towers.
Yeah, you also just don't have an AD carry, so Hansama walking up with Cassiopeia may be a little bit worse to go ahead and hit those towers. What Misfits do have going for them is that the Baron is spawning in 30 seconds, and because they have been able to dominate in every single team fight for the last 10 minutes, it seems, well, SK haven't really entered their jungle, let alone entered the Baron River, so there's no vision to try and see that one coming. Now we're going to see what happened exactly in the top lane. There's a lot of minions for Evan to work with. Double jump.
Oh, good
dodge.
flash. Sadly, you put yourself between the wall and the tower, so gave him the freebie.
And then Gorilla comes in, and it's like, well, I mean, Vivin could have done that by himself. It actually makes Gorilla lose the flash in the end. Now SK actually with some good pressure here. They were able to shove up the mid lane. Now they can try to get some vision, but Crownshot has to be super careful. This AD carry is so low range, and we know Misfits, all their game plan is going to be is to dive onto him and Pyrian, assassinate the backline, and win the fight pretty handily.
He's playing so confident, stepping up to actually auto-attack the Aurelia. Brave maneuver. Of course, Aurelia has the GA as well, so Crownshot gonna have to kill Vivin twice if he wants to come out on top in these team fights. A difficult prospect. Zanya's just about to be up once again for Pyrian. 0-4-4. Difficult game for the Syndra player. Moving in though. Selfmade's gonna find the follow-up. Now going in. Selfmade just wants to keep the fight going. So it's coming in on the backside though. Can't hit 3 members immediately. Pyrian now trying to disengage, and Selfmade, it's a lot of chunk damage, but there's no follow-up. Warlord finally here in the fight. Misfits take that as their sign to back off, but at the end of the day, so much burn for so little.
Yeah, flash on Selfmade, his own ultimate, cleanse on Pyrian as well. So now Misfits can go ahead and move back in towards the river. SK don't want to give them any opening.
Warlord is just going top. They kind of need that Vladimir on the flank. He is now coming in. Maybe they can find an opportunity, but everything is warded up. Warlord just going to have to settle for clearing out a bit of vision. Now, luckily for SK, in a spot to contest this mid wave, so can take down some of those wards, but have to be careful. Soaz is waiting. This man is hungry.
Oh, Vivin gets the stun.
Good synergy.
I like it.
And I feel like we're both really tense, because while I feel like this is probably a 70-30 fight for Misfits, there's still that possibility with the Vladimir.
And look, it's just because Misfits can make a snap call to initiate a fight whenever they want. Baron is at 7,000 HP right now. SK still haven't teleported into the fight. It's going to come down to a 50-50.
Oh. Goes in. TP now coming in to keep the fight. The Warlord immediately going to get the 3-man ultimate. It's just going to get knocked up. Does finally get the pull off Vivin, now leaving the backline. Pyrian in trouble. Does go golden. Vivin, though, could be the one to go down. Selfmade going to try to throw down a little bit with the auto attack. Resurrection coming in. Crownshot now going to try to take down Maxwell. This could be huge. Big moment as they move back into the funnel. Gorilla off to the side, though. Where is he going to go? Pulling back. Retreat on the team. The Baron already going down in favor of Misfits. The miasma is huge. Crownshot has to flash back, has to cleanse as well.
No mana
on Hansama is an important note. Ooh, Soaz.
He has flash.
This man is flirting with disaster.
Yeah, baby!
Goes in the Q to extend.